And we're live.
All right, welcome everybody to episode 11 of the Worldwide Wednesday podcast. I'm Sovereign,
I'm Shiny.
and we've got a lot to talk about today. Definitely excited to be back on schedule this week.
Yeah. One thing to get out of the way is that, yes, I know segments haven't been posted recently. I've been recovering from the flu, so I have not been active on my computer. But I've recovered, and so you should be getting segments from past two episodes plus this episode throughout this week. And we'll be back on schedule for episode 12.
All right. Well, technically, we're already back on schedule for this episode, so let's just get right into it. Now, we've got definitely a lot of exciting Marvel content. Which one do you want to speak on first?
Obviously, we should talk about the big one, which is Hawkeye episode 5.
Okay. Well, that's technically not... It's the big one for this week. The next one is the lead up to the biggest one.
Yeah. But Hawkeye episode 5.
So let's just get this out of the way.
Yes.
I have much more positive things to say about this episode for sure, and because the plot in this episode kicked up to 11 without a doubt. Because, for one, the one problem I had in episode 4 was that it kept compiling on new characters, new things, and it felt like they were just pushing everything, and I felt like they were trying to push the Tracksuit Mafia off to the side, and then they were making Echo the focus, and then they're bringing in Yelena, and then we also have to bring in Kingpin, but this episode actually puts them all together, and while Yelena herself is still her own separate thing as far as the plot is concerned, I still think that this episode treated all of the villains a lot better this episode.
Yeah. I definitely really like this episode. It definitely is a very good follow-up to the end of episode 4, because it really gives you all the answers to everything that has come beforehand. You want to find out, not just in Hawkeye, but also other questions that we've had in the MCU, such as, what did happen to Kingpin after Daredevil Season 3?
What happened to Yelena during the blip?
What happened, when did the Black Widow post-credit scene actually take place? And we actually get answers for all of those. So, it looks like, one, Kingpin got released from prison at some point before the year 2018.
Yeah.
And so...
Because at that point, because when was season 3 of Daredevil taking place? 2015, 16?
It was 2015 or 2016. And so he was probably only in jail for another year or two, and then...
Which, mind you, is a light sentence for running a criminal organization and taking over the local sect of the FBI.
Yeah, for all the racketeering he did, in the real world, he probably would have gotten a life sentence. Multiple life sentences at that.
Well, then again, he did get out of a really long sentence in, was it season 2 or 3? I think it was season 3.
In season 3 is when we see him out of prison, but once again, it's new charges. You don't get to leave prison for one racketeering charge, and then they're like, well, we'll never get you for racketeering again. If you do it again, they're going to come back for you.
Well, this is the comic. This is comic book universes we're talking about here. We're talking about...
Oh, they still do...
We're talking about the same medium that still has Arkham Asylum.
Listen, even in those mediums, they will get you for repeat offenses. Even in those universes, you still go to jail for a repeat offense. But
I'm just saying.
But so it looks like he's only been out for... So if I'm getting this correctly, Echo's dad, William Lopez, aka Crazy Horse, he was killed at some point in between 2018 and 2023. We don't know when, but somewhere in that time period, Kingpin is released from prison, reestablishes his criminal contacts. He works with the Tracksuit Mafia has always existed in the background. It was just one of the many factions that he owned.
Yeah.
But he got back in contact with the Tracksuit Mafia, and then I guess William just never paid off those debts that he mentioned back in
Or,
episode 3.
or really, would he ever lose contact with them to begin with?
I only say reestablish contacts because this is his second time going to prison. And on top of that, the hand also recently went down. Pretty much all of New York's criminal underworld that we knew of at the time had fallen apart within a relatively short period of time.
Yeah, well, the ones that we knew about, because of course, like you said,
Yeah.
the tracksuit mafia was in the background,
Yeah,
without a doubt.
but like the Russian mob was taken out long ago.
The
But
Irish mob was also
the
taken out.
Irish mob was
Taken out by the Punisher.
Jigsaw's like Valhalla group got taken out by Punisher.
But that wasn't even in New York, was it?
Yeah, it was.
Oh yeah, that's right, it was. I swear that season is so confusing because of all the setting changes.
Yeah, it ends in New York City.
Yeah.
But yeah, so Jigsaw's Valhalla group got taken out. All 5 fingers of the hand got taken out, and yeah, and then the new Kingpin crime syndicate that he got in season 3 also got taken out.
Yeah.
Oh, and Black Mariah's criminal syndicate as well.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of surprised that he was able to like become Kingpin again, just from a standpoint of who's left. Like, yeah, you have the tracksuits, but like, who else is left in the city? They all kind of got killed.
Yeah, because not that like Hell's Kitchen is any good, but it's mostly like there's not really much left there.
Yeah, I mean, it all got kind of destroyed due to just vigilantes.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Ronin shows up at some point and he decimates the tracksuit mafia.
Yeah.
But before we get way too in the weeds about Kingpin's rise in the
but
post
remind me to come back to that subject because I'm now starting to think of stuff and it's got my mind spinning.
We'll circle back to it when we get to the end of the episode.
Yes.
But let's start at the beginning. So the beginning of the episode is basically Kate coming home, and she tells her mom that like Jack may have something to do with our mom.
Which, of course, us being in the audience and us saying this since episode 1 is a major red flag. But of course, Kate doesn't know it, but we obviously know who it is.
Yes, I actually saw a really interesting tweet that perfectly explained why Eleanor has been sus from the beginning, and it goes back to the auction. And it's simple. White people are never calm when something goes wrong. And Eleanor was the epitome of calm. That clearly means she was in on it the entire time. Because when shit goes wrong, white people lose their minds.
Ouch.
And so that perfectly encapsulates every feeling you could potentially have about why she's suspect. Is you think about that and you think about, when you think about people freaking out in situations, you imagine a hysterical white woman. She was not that. So, but yeah, so it was definitely a red flag.
Well, that is definitely a take.
It is a take, and it is the correct take.
Sure.
Anyways.
I mean, it is the correct take, but did you have to say it?
I mean, yes. Yes, I did.
Okay. Moving on.
So, yeah, speaking of white women in power, because we end up with Yelena showing up next.
Which,
I have to say, biggest power move ever. Just rolling up at Kate's place, just being like, I made you macaroni.
Yeah, like, we know she's a lot, like, less serious than Natasha when it comes to her character.
Yeah.
But, like, I wasn't expecting this much. Not to say, like, I got, like, character whiplash or character assassination or anything like that, because she was like that in Black Widow.
Yeah.
Like, constantly, like, making fun of Natasha's poses and wardrobe and all that.
Yeah.
But, like, it's kind of kicked up to 11 here, and I think I like it.
I really like it because it masks the sheer terror of the situation.
It's a huge contrast from what she's actually capable of doing.
Yeah, it's actually masking the sheer terror of the situation. And that's why Kate doesn't ever really ease up, because the reality of the situation is that the moment Kate opened that door, Yelena could have blew her brains out and ended it all right then and there.
And this was actually the first scene that Kate has never been overconfident in what she's capable of doing.
Oh yeah, Kate was, absolutely terrified.
Yeah, this was the first time we've seen her like this at all.
Yeah, she was
like she was holding her own in the fight against Yelena, but as soon as she found out who she is and what she's capable of doing, the moment she stepped into her apartment, she knew.
Yeah,
she's out of her league.
Yeah, she realized just what Clint meant when he said, "There's a Black Widow assassin involved in this, and you need to go." Like, because the way that Yelena carried herself by always calling her Kate Bishop, just casually dropping, "I know everything about you, from your father's death to what your mother does to I know your GPA, I know your majors, I know what school you go to." It's just like, and she's like, "Okay, you don't need to tell me more." Like, just the way that she commanded just the entire, like, scene.
Yeah.
Like, it was basically like...
Which honestly, all of that characterization, like, honestly, every character was treated pretty well in this episode, but especially Yelena.
Yeah.
Considering that she was probably my favorite character in what has come to be a more mediocre movie, looking back.
I definitely loved Yelena and Black Widow, and I was so excited to hear that she was going to be in this show. And she's living up to the hype, because we're getting just... She's in the most endearing way possible for what is essentially an assassin, a cold-hearted assassin. She's a dork. She's a fucking dork. But she's a dork that will probably blow your brains out and blow the brains out of all your neighbors before you even process the fact that you walked into a room.
Yeah.
And so seeing her be like, "Oh yeah, I want to see all the sights. It's my first time in New York. Like, you obviously live here, so you can give me suggestions on where to go." Just juxtaposed with the fact that this woman is holding a plastic fork, eating macaroni, and I'm pretty sure she's gonna kill me with the fork.
Yeah.
Like, she even says, "I don't have any weapons in my hand." Looks at plastic fork. Okay, that was a lie.
Yeah. But I also want to touch on Echo, because her character is getting developed more and more as well.
Oh yeah, they're definitely shaping her up to be the lead for her own show. And I genuinely think she's going to become the next Ronin.
You think so?
Because, well, she was the Ronin in the comics, and also a Ronin by definition is a samurai or a warrior without a place, a wanderer. And that's what she's going to be at the end of this show. She's no longer going to be working for Kingpin. She's probably going to be disassociating with Kazi and the rest of the tracksuits by the end of this.
Yeah, which is definitely foreshadowed a bit in this episode, because as soon as Clint tells her about
the informant
and what led up to her father's death, you definitely, like, as soon as she starts questioning Kazi, like, you can tell she's starting to have doubts about not the relationship, or the relationship in the tracksuit mafia that they share.
Yeah, but also their familiar relationship, because they're cousins.
Yeah.
Like, they grew up together. They trained to be gangsters together. And to find out that Kazi may have been the guy that tipped off the Ronin about where her dad was, and then didn't show up to the meeting on orders of Kingpin to let her dad die.
Yeah, because at first, like, she was definitely in denial about the stuff that Clint told her, but at the same time, she starts asking questions, and the puzzle pieces just fit together.
I think what I find really interesting is this now recontextualizes every scene we see Kazi and Clinton together. Knowing that the entire time, Kazi has to pretend he hasn't actually interacted with Clint in a one-on-one environment. Which I find really interesting, because according to this episode, he was the informant. He was told by Kingpin to be the informant for Ronin. So they really recontextualize, especially when last episode, when Clint holds him up in his car.
Yeah.
It recontextualizes it where Kazi is just like not freaking out. Like, imagine if like Ivan or Enrique were in that situation. I mean, we saw when the arrow shot through the Trusted Bro truck, Enrique lost his mind.
Yes.
But Kazi, on the other hand, was pretty calm. He's just like, oh god, what do you want?
Which I'm also happy that the show is not tossing the Tracksuit Mafia to the side, because that's what. Uh, when I saw episode 4, that's what I was really afraid of, because they were, like I said, they were throwing in a whole bunch of characters, and I wasn't very confident they were going to handle their arcs properly. Which, I mean, the Tracksuit Mafia probably in episode 6 probably won't have a big role, but I'm
Yes.
glad they aren't.
Wait, yes, they are. They're literally the final set piece.
Oh, no. I mean, like, the grunts.
Oh, well, you mean like the named grunts that we have.
Right.
You mean Ivan and Enrique.
Like, of course, we're going to have Kazi, we're going to have Echo, but I mean, like, the lower ones. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to forget about these guys.
I honestly think we're probably going to see Kazi, Ivan, and Enrique show up again in Echo.
Yeah.
They're definitely going to show up.
Yeah.
They have given Enrique and Ivan specifically too much characterization
Exactly.
for them not to appear in the Echo show.
I mean, literally, when we did our review on episode 2, I was requesting that they build their characters because I want to like these villains, and then that was satisfied in episode 3 and again in this episode.
Do you know what I'm predicting?
What?
Ivan and Enrique are going to meet up with Turk Barrett in the the Echo show.
Okay.
You remember Turk?
A little bit.
Turk is the black guy that works in the criminal underworld that gets shaken down by literally every defender. Daredevil shakes him down, Jessica Jones shakes him down, Luke Cage shakes him down, Iron Fist shakes him down, and Punisher shakes him down. They all shake him down for information.
Oh wait, the arms guy, right?
He's the arms guy that ends up getting a weed store.
Yeah, now I remember him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ivan and Enrique are definitely going to interact with him.
Oh boy. Which I also do want to address the fact that we're getting a lot of Defenders tie-ins with not only No Way Home with the rumors of Charlie Cox coming back,
and
then of course we get the big reveal at the end of the episode with Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin being shown in a screenshot.
And there's also the rumors of Kristen Ritter returning as Jessica Jones for She-Hulk.
Right.
So this episode was just great. Like, there was not really much action. We did have an action set piece in the form of a Clint versus Maya round 2.
Yeah.
But this was just really good.
Yeah, a lot better this time. I will say, definitely, I'm leaning towards a 7 out of 10 for this episode.
Yeah. I really liked how they showed just how out of her depth Maya was against Clint.
Yeah.
Where, I said round 2. This is actually round 3 because they fought in the kid warehouse. They fought on the roof, and this is their third time fighting.
Right.
But yeah, it really shows how out of her depth she is because she's never faced Ronin. She's faced Clint, but she's never faced the Ronin.
Yeah, which it was surprising to see him get back in the uniform this time.
Yeah, part of me was thinking for a second. I was like, is that really Clint? But it has to be Clint. But is it him? And then it was him.
Yeah. I got a little bit of that, but I didn't feel like it was going to go through all the way.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think the point, like, they intentionally shot the scene to be like, oh, who's behind the mask? It could be a mystery. Like, I got a little bit of that, but that thought kind of faded within, 10 seconds.
The one thing that I actually thought, and in hindsight, it doesn't make much sense. I thought he was wearing a pimp suit. The reason being is that when you see him smack down Enrique and drag him under the car, you don't see a fully sized him. You just see him get hit from the front and then get dragged on the other side. Part of me thought that he was wearing a pimp suit.
Yeah. Maybe that's just we're not used to seeing the Ronin suit in this lighting particularly.
No, I think it was because of the Pym arrow that we got back in episode 3.
Or I'm saying that's why you probably didn't see, or maybe it was just the way the scene was shot.
Yeah.
Because the only times we've seen the Ronin is in the Tokyo scene where, of course, it's, shot with a bunch of bright lights on the environment, and then the other time it being in a dark wine, in a like semi-lit wine house when Kate wears it. So
But we
so
also
the
saw him when he killed William in
yeah,
the auto shop.
which is a lot more like low shot. So to
Yeah.
see it in like an overhead like in a dark, stormy car lot with kind of overhead lighting is kind of different. So maybe the costume was a little less recognizable in that scene.
Yeah, I thought he was wearing a pimp suit, and I was like, "Oh shit!" But nah, he was wearing the Ronin suit, which was still amazing to finally see him have a fight against someone in the Ronin suit.
Yeah, yeah, for
Um,
sure.
I also this is just something that popped into my mind. I actually now understand why the Ronin suit was found in the Avengers compound, and it's actually fairly simple. He changed clothes for the time heist.
I mean, was that not implied?
I forgot he had changed clothes for the time heist, and that's why the Ronin suit and
Like,
sword and everything is in the compound.
I mean, he literally changed to be the test driver.
I forgot.
I can't believe that needed to be pointed out.
I forgot. Alright, speaking of stuff from Endgame, we completely skipped over this fact, despite it being in the beginning of the episode, was the fact that we see Yelena get snapped and then
Yeah.
reappear instantaneously.
And not only that, but like she didn't just like appear and then the walls changed around her. Like no, the whole like environment shifted as
Like reality warped.
yeah, which
Oh.
is interesting because like of course knowing what we know about the blip, you would think oh considering that the walls had been painted over the last 5 years, you'd think it to be instantaneous. Like because the only time we've seen people reemerge from the blip was with Monica Rambeau in
And
WandaVision.
and we also saw the high school kids in Far From Home.
Right. Yeah. But when I guess I mean like from a character's perspective.
Yeah.
Because we only see the moment she reappears. We don't see them because she's on.
We don't have the first person's perspective.
Right. And meanwhile, in this, we do.
Yeah. Did you think we were gonna see that?
I did not. Honestly, I was not expecting to get like the first little 3 minute section with Yelena going into what she did during the blip, which was honestly, it's like it was different because I was not expecting to veer from like, because of course we got the same like little one-off little 3 minute section with Echo,
Yeah.
and then we got it again with Yelena. I did not expect them to like focus on her character so much for like a little one-shot story.
Yeah. I knew that they were gonna do that because they had released a trailer for it for episode 5, and they showed that they were gonna at least show a bit of what she did during the blip, but it didn't click on my head that she was gonna get dusted until I saw her walk towards the bathroom and I noticed the music changed. The music just suddenly changed, and I was like, it's 2018. Oh no! It's 2018! And then she immediately got dusted.
Yeah.
As soon as she walked towards the bathroom, I was like, wait, this is 2018 and the music just stopped. They did this in Ant-Man and the Wasp.
Yeah,
Because I was going to say, in the post-credit scene for Ant-Man and the Wasp, right as Scott is about to go back, the music cuts out. And that's the moment that the Pym family got dusted, and they did the same thing this episode.
which also implies that like she's been at this like journey of rehabilitating the Black Widow assassins for quite a long time. If it's 2018 already, because
It's been 2 years.
Because yeah, Civil War happened in 2016.
Yeah, so she's
and
been
then
doing it
Black
for 2
Widow
years.
happens directly after.
Yeah.
So she's been at this for quite a while already.
Black Widow, I believe, takes place 1 week before Black Panther.
Right.
And Black Panther was only 2 weeks after Civil War. And so, yeah, this took place. So she's been doing this for 2 years. And we do see that she has been successful because in Shang-Chi, we do see another Black Widow, and she does have a name, and I'm forgetting her name, but she's actually in Zhai Ling's fighting tournament in Macau.
Yeah.
So we know that, like Anna said it in this episode, that some of the Black Widows, even though they're liberated, they only know how to fight and kill. So they kind of just resort to that. Even Anna,
because she's completely rehabilitated without like need for the
the dust.
the yeah the
Yeah,
antidote at all.
yeah,
Which
she didn't need it. But it's also interesting that even though she didn't need it, she is still an assassin 5 years later.
yeah, and yeah, that's
Helen, her name is the Black Widow we see in Shang-Chi is named Helen.
okay.
Yeah, she does actually appear in the Black Widow movie as well.
Yeah, which oof, we are getting so many crossovers now that we're in Phase 4,
I
and
know.
it's kind of like unsettling.
Yeah, it's
I'm gonna be
actually kind of ridiculous how.
like it hasn't reached concerning for me yet. I don't think we're gonna see anything in No Way Home, which actually let's save this for later. Let's
Yeah,
save this
well,
for later.
I will just say one thing. Rogers the Musical is shown in No Way Home
I
via trailer.
I believe it,
In
but
the trailer, you do see it, so we're still getting the self-referential shit.
but I will say like it hasn't reached to the point where I'm concerned about it because like obviously it could get so like um so like it could be so overemphasized that it could be like the main focus of what they're doing now. Like, oh, the whole point of this whole universe is crossovers, crossovers, crossovers. But it hasn't reached that point yet. Like most of these crossovers that we've seen are either just subtle nods or just plot relevant.
Yeah,
Like when I think of like subtle nods, like maybe not so subtle, but I think of like the Abomination coming in Shang-Chi when he has no plot relevance whatsoever.
yeah.
It's not like so in your face that it's like concerning. Like I'm trying to think of like what's a series that like puts Easter eggs so far in your face that it's annoying. Like
Oh, I
the
can't.
the one thing that comes to mind is the Sony ads in the Amazing Spider-Man series.
I guess, yeah,
Yeah, because those were everywhere.
yeah.
That,
Or,
that's the
or
only
yeah, Amazing Spider-Man 2 and how they kept setting up like so
that
many other things.
that's what I'm thinking. Like there, that one was just pushing everything in your face.
Yeah,
I'm
that,
not
that that hallway walk scene where you see Doc Ock's tentacles and the Goblin glider, and you're just like, we get it.
like I'm not getting that from Phase 4 yet.
Yeah,
Yeah,
this to me makes the world just feel more alive, and that there are consequences for every installment, and not all those consequences are like big major like events. They're like subtle things. Like Black Widow ends, Yelena goes with Alexei and Melina to go free the rest of the widows. And we see the consequences for that in Shang-Chi, where we see Helen is fighting in Macau for Xialing. And then we see it even further in Hawkeye, where we see that Yelena works with another widow she saved named Sonia to help another widow named Anna. And then turns out Anna was already saved. But then Anna tells Yelena, you should do contract work. And that ties into the Black Widow post credit scene where she gets
yeah,
contracted by Val, which in turn connects to three, episode 4, where Eleanor puts the hit out on Clint. Yeah.
yeah,
Like you see just serious decisions made in the other Marvel installments do influence the plot of other Marvel installments, but not so much so that you're lost if you don't see it.
yeah.
Like you don't need to see Black Widow to understand um the post credit scene connection between episode 4 and the post credit
Because
scene.
even if you don't see Black Widow, it still like explains it in Episode 5 who she is, what she's doing, and all of that.
And who hired
Right. But to finish my train of thought
her.
here,
Yeah.
it hasn't reached the point where it's like overindulgence, but I do think it's like I don't want to sound pretentious when I say this, but I think it is an evolution of the genre.
Yeah.
Like I know I'm like getting really flowery with my language when I say that, but I do think that this is a way that the MCU is evolving as time goes on, as it reaches Phase 4.
Yeah, this is actually something, surprisingly enough, that they took from DC. Not the DCEU, though. They took this from Young Justice. Young Justice is actually, like, Young Justice the cartoon, is actually does something very similar, wherein events that take place in the show Young Justice go on to influence other events in subtle ways. For example, Artemis and Green Arrow save a guy who was about to get assassinated in front of his daughter. The daughter that witnesses her dad nearly get assassinated but saved by them becomes Arrowette, the superhero. And she specifically becomes an archer in Inspiration. Or Wonder Girl is a regular teenager in Young Justice, but because of the actions of the Reach and Lex Luthor, which allowed the metagene to be activated by the population en masse, and we see a blonde girl get kidnapped in season 2, come season 3, we learn the blonde girl that was kidnapped was Wonder Girl, the girl that would become Wonder Girl, and now Wonder Girl's just a member of the team. And so I really like that Marvel is now really hammering that part in, because it's one of the best parts of Young Justice, because you feel payoff. It feels like a payoff for being invested in a certain storyline.
Right.
Like, if you're invested in the Black Widow side of things, seeing all this stuff through Shang-Chi and Hawkeye, you feel a little bit validated in being so invested.
Yeah, which honestly, I think the MCU will handle it well. I'm more concerned of the multiverse aspect growing old fast.
That part I am afraid of.
I am very afraid of that. I am more concerned with that than I am with the crossovers from each movie and TV show becoming overindulgent.
Yeah, we talked about this last week with our Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse reaction, but I am definitely worried that the multiverse aspect is going to become too much when it becomes
Because coming out of the Infinity Saga, I am very worried about how confident they are diving into the multiverse saga.
Yeah. But before we get to that part, the multiverse, we should go back into Hawkeye.
Is there anything else to talk about? Because we talked about the little one shot with Yelena that we got in the beginning.
Yeah.
We got the characterization that each of the characters went through. We also got like more into Echo. We got into Yelena.
Jack is a dumbass. I am convinced that Jack is just a gigantic himbo.
Honestly, that would be great.
He's just giving me dumb himbo energy. Like, he's like, I've never worked a day in my life. And honestly, I believe him.
Because, like, even though, like, he's supposed to be, like, one of the, suspicious characters in the show, the both of us know that he's just a red herring.
I legitimately think Jack is just a dumb himbo that wanted to be a good stepdad.
Because we don't really have many himbos in the series. The only ones we had were in What If with Thor and Thanos.
Yeah, Party Thor and Ravager Thanos.
Those are the only himbos we've got.
But now we have
and Korg.
And Korg. But yeah, I think Jack is just a dumb himbo because he just gets arrested and he's like, oh, I'll be fine. Like, I'll be back for the party in no time. Like, completely just unaware of the gravity of the crimes he's being implicated in. Like, part of me even thinks Eleanor just, like, wrote his name down to be the CEO of Sloan Limited and he just didn't know.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like, she definitely had some, like, influence on who was the listed CEO in that. Yeah. Because obviously it's her company.
Yeah.
It's her security company. And
it was her laptop.
And so she has complete control of who she can implicate.
Exactly. So I just think Jack is a dumb himbo. Like, at first I was just like, yeah, I think Jack isn't the villain. I think he's gonna be a nice
And
guy.
it's of course obvious why Eleanor does this. It's because Kate is way too close to her tail right now and needs to frame someone immediately. And thankfully, she already had someone framed like well in advance.
Yeah, I think the main thing that let her fully go through with letting Jack take the fall was Kate straight up saying, "I think Jack had something to do with Armand," which means one to Eleanor, Kate knows more about Armand than what was put in the papers, meaning that she's like, "Okay, we gotta cut this shit out."
Yeah.
But I think Jack is a dumb himbo, and he's definitely gonna give like dumb himbo stepdad vibes for the rest of the MCU.
Because most likely, we're probably not going to see him in episode 6. So let's.
Yes, we are.
You think he's going to get out of prison that fast?
Yes,
Yeah.
he's rich.
Fair enough.
He's a dumb himbo, but he's a rich dumb himbo.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Because I'm more thinking of the plot focusing on Eleanor just finally getting the reveal that she's behind everything.
Mhm.
So that's what's going on in my mind. That's my train of thought.
Yeah,
So that's why I'm thinking, will Jack have that's his name, right?
yeah, Jack.
Yeah. That's where my mind is going. I'm thinking like, is he going to be plot relevant anymore? Or is it just going to be like she yells his name out and then it was Eleanor the whole time? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah. This also makes me question something. So you know how we've been speculating that Eleanor probably killed Derek during the Shatari invasion.
Right.
What do you think of the idea that, similar to William, Derek is in debt to Kingpin, and the only way you get out, we already know this, just in real life, if you owe money to any organized crime organization, if you don't have the money, you pay with your body, whatever way that would mean. And so I think what happened is that during the Shatari invasion, Eleanor killed Derek
Because
to erase his mafia debts to the Kingpin. Because, well, I mean, what was I supposed to do? My husband got killed by aliens. Please don't come after me, Kingpin. And he's like, fine, I'll take care of you. Because Derek was still
because
like,
at the beginning of episode 1, you see that they're complaining over money.
yeah,
So, and we're not alluded to what it is, like maybe a bad investment, or we don't get any indication as to what it is.
yeah.
So that would explain that scene perfectly.
I think he was indebted to. I think how this is actually going to work is I think because we're kind of playing with how Kate and Maya are like a bit of inverses of each other. So here's how I think this is framed. So we have Derek Bishop and William Lopez. Both of them are lieutenants in Kingpin's vast criminal underworld. Both of them also owe him a lot of money. And so here's what happens. They owe him money, so they work for him as lieutenants. But the debt that they owe to Kingpin is becoming way too strenuous, and it's very likely they're not paying it off. So, Eleanor, who knows that her husband is involved in organized crime and knows that the debts are piling up and it's not coming soon, and if they don't do something, bad things will happen, uses the Shatari invasion to kill Derek, go to Kingpin and say, listen, my husband died in the Shatari during the alien invasion. Obviously, none of us saw this coming. You know I don't have the money for this. Like, can we say that our debt is squared? And Kingpin, being the pragmatic man that he is, was like, yeah. We're fine. And then he allows for Eleanor to work in his organization, like how with Maya, where William Lopez owes money to Kingpin because we know he owes money to someone, as evidenced in episode 3, and he doesn't pay the debt, which leads to Kingpin telling Kazi, his second in command, to tell the Ronin where the tracksuits are meeting, and then tells Kazi not to show up. Then the Ronin comes in, slaughters the tracksuit. William's debt is now fully paid off because he's dead, and Maya, his daughter, now comes under his employ because he's not going to let her,
Yeah.
be out on the streets. Like she's already like up and coming within the organization. Like it seems that when William was killed, she like knew of the tracksuit mafia, but it doesn't seem like she was in the mafia yet. And so after William dies, she becomes it. And I think it's supposed to be a bit of a parallel where the fathers die and the women in their lives get absorbed into Kingpin's organization as enforcers.
Right.
So basically, Eleanor now uses her Bishop security firm as a front for members of many different aspects of Wilson Fisk's like criminal underworld to have legal professions, which is their shell companies, where all the money that they launder through extortion and drugs, yeah, they did do drugs and arms dealing, all comes through. So I think that is the setup.
Okay.
I think that's the setup we're going with.
Now, there's one last thing I want to address when we talk about this episode.
Yes.
Is do we think we're going to see a massive character shift from the Netflix Kingpin to this Kingpin?
No.
Because, mind you, when we talk about Kingpin, he's not like this tyrannical maniac.
No.
No, he's because it was shown in the in Daredevil, like he's suffered a lot of problems with his father figure, and that led him to be not. I don't know how to describe it. It leads him to focus more on the little things, like things that adults wouldn't typically fixate on.
Yeah, in a way, he's like, I know you haven't seen The Sopranos, but he's like Tony Soprano in the sense that because his dad was in the mafia and did violent things and forced him to watch them and participate in them, he now has a bit of an appreciation for things outside of it.
Yeah, because mind you, Kingpin killed someone when he was like 11.
He didn't kill the bully. He just mortally. He just
no. His dad.
Yeah, but he did kill his dad when he was 11.
He killed his dad when he was 11.
And I mean,
that definitely shapes someone not to be like a tyrant, but it shapes someone to like respond to stimuli a bit differently than an adult would.
Yeah, I mean, we know, and also like the reason why he even kills his dad is to protect his mom.
Right.
Like his mom was being beaten by him, and let's be honest here. Like, okay, actually we're on Twitch, so maybe let's not say that. I was gonna say something, but we're on Twitch, so let's just leave it at it's understandable why he killed his father.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think I do agree with you that he is not a tyrannical maniac.
Yeah, and I wouldn't say man-child because I mean, he's got his minor fixations, like he focuses on his cufflinks, on the paintings he has, and
on Vanessa.
Like I would say that they have a very unique relationship together, where like she is like now becomes like a big part of her life, which you wouldn't really expect from the head of any crime ring. Because when you think of a head of a crime ring, you think, oh, they push their wife to the side. But no, he lets her into his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which also I'm wondering if we're going to get a small cameo from Vanessa.
Part of me thinks no, because of the stipulation that we have at the end of Daredevil Season 3.
That's right, yeah.
You didn't let any of the people you killed get to see their loved ones, so you will never see her again. That's what the cops said. And then Daredevil also said, if I find out you're doing things, I will make sure you never see her again.
That's right.
So I think she's separated from him right now.
Yeah.
If anything, I wonder if his entire thing with Ronan is a trade. Laura and the kids for Vanessa. You get me Vanessa and I won't touch your kids.
Okay.
I don't think that's going to happen, but I wouldn't be surprised because Kingpin is obsessed with his wife.
Oh, yeah.
He is obsessed with her.
Like we just said.
Let's not sugarcoat it. She's equally as obsessed with him as he is with her.
Yeah.
Like, they are madly in love. So, like, I could totally see him holding a man's family hostage, and it's like, you get me my wife, and I won't touch your kids.
And it's not like she's like a gold digger or anything.
No,
I
no,
mean,
no.
mind you, she is super manipulative of Wilson,
But she was also super wealthy to begin with.
and also like you can tell that she wasn't in it just for the.
Yeah, like
It's weird saying this about like the two leaders of the crime ring in New York in the MCU, but it's it's pretty much true. They did have a decent relationship.
I think it's more than decent. It was a really loving relationship. I mean, the fact of the matter is that even when he went to prison, she waited for him.
I mean, mind you, one of the scenes that is the most romantic between them is literally them burning a street corner to the ground.
Yeah,
Yeah, like that's literally held up as a romantic moment in their perspective, while an entire like street corner burns.
yeah. And I mean, she watched him get nearly beaten to death by Matt and Bullseye, and she kind of like she didn't really flinch. Like she didn't run away. If anything, she stood up to Matt, was like, "Do not kill him, please." Like
Yeah.
she was willing to like let whatever happens to her happen if she can ensure he lives.
Yeah.
So
Either way, I am very happy that Vincent D'Onofrio has finally got the payoff he deserves and is able to come back in the actual MCU.
yes, was that the thing you wanted to circle back to from the beginning?
Yeah, because I'm really excited to see Vincent D'Onofrio come back.
Yeah, I am fairly confident he's gonna have the same characterization. I wonder if he's gonna give. I wonder if he's gonna give the speech again. This city, when I was a boy, my father. But overall, I'd give this episode a 7.5 out of 10.
7.5 here as well.
Yeah, really solid episode. Really good music choices. Really good symbolism, and just the way they are structuring their characters.
Though I will say this episode, because in the past 4 episodes we hear a lot of usage of like actual like Christmas like songs that are commonly known to the public. Did we see that a lot this episode? I don't remember.
The Grinch.
Yeah, I think we only got the Grinch towards the end.
And we also, not a Christmas song, but we did hear the Run DMC song from Die Hard, which is a Christmas movie.
Yeah.
So,
Which I don't know why people fight on that.
Die Hard is a Christmas movie, and I will fight anyone that says otherwise. But oh yeah, there was one thing I wanted to bring up in terms of symbolism, and why I think Maya is going to become the Ronin in her show Echo is the fact that the Tracksuit Mafia all wear red. Everyone associated with them wears red, from William to Kazi, Enrique, Ivan, Tomas, and Eleanor. They all wear red, but Maya has never worn red.
Yeah.
And I think that's to really distinguish how she's different. She's a part of this life, but she's not like the rest of them. And that's why I think she's going to become the Ronin.
Because she didn't grow up in the mafia.
She did.
I mean, she grew up under her father, but she was never it was never like really shown she like took part in it too much until her father was killed.
Yeah, we know that she was trained to be a gangster with Kazi because the karate dojo,
Right.
where they were both being trained at, and the fact that she was very comfortable being at the auto shop during after hours and knew very much that her dad was a gangster. So I think it's more that like she was always adjacent.
Yeah.
Like the best I could describe it as she is what
Because Kazi shows a little bit of discomfort with her leading in episode 3.
yeah.
So that's what my mind goes to when I
Yeah.
say that.
But I also think his discomfort also comes from the fact that he's related to her and he doesn't want her to die like how he let William die.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he does show a little bit of hesitancy of like her leading a bit
Yeah.
because like she's very new to it.
Yeah. But I also think it's because he knows that he's betrayed the leader before. He doesn't want to have to do it to her because they did.
That is true.
He
yeah.
was raised by William, but like he grew up with Maya.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Maya is probably like what Claire Temple was, the various different defenders, in the sense that she wasn't in the life, but she was in the life.
God, if we see her again,
I do want to see her again.
because she was a decent actress.
Yeah. I think we're probably going to see Misty Knight first, my opinion.
Oh yeah, which we got to prepare audiences who haven't seen
Iron Fist.
Iron Fist or Luke Cage or any of that for the fact that she's got a metal arm.
I mean, she did show up with her metal arm and Cloak and Dagger.
Oh really?
Yeah. Cloak and Dagger season 2, I think.
Okay.
Anyways, that will be our review for Hawkeye episode 5.
Yeah. Now let's definitely move on because we have another Marvel segment, and this one's also a big one. This is the lead up into the big one. Here's going to be our final discussion before the release of Spider-Man No Way Home, which airs tomorrow.
It airs tomorrow. It's already aired in different countries, so please no spoilers.
No spoilers. Avoid spoilers for the life of it.
Or just avoid Twitter, avoid Reddit, avoid Facebook, avoid iFunny, avoid YouTube, avoid looking at your cat. Just try to avoid spoilers as best as you can.
I mean, side tangent, just avoid iFunny altogether, no matter what Marvel movie's coming out.
Oh yeah, avoid iFunny to begin with, but you know how iFunny is with spoilers after big movies.
God, I haven't touched that platform in like 4 years.
For me, it's been like 6.
Yeah. But anyway, now to the meat and potatoes. So, the big question that immediately comes to mind when I think about No Way Home, are we seeing Venom?
Yes, I think we will.
It definitely has to be at least one post-credit scene.
I think he's the post-credit scene. I do not think we're actually going to see him within the main movie itself. Right. I think this movie is way too packed to the brim with characters, and I do not believe he's actually going to be in the film, as in through the plot. I think he'll just be post-credits.
Because we already have like 5+ villains in this movie, and we're going to be tacking on 2 additional Spider-Men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, first thing I want to bring up is we actually do know when this movie takes place now, actually.
Really?
Which is... Wait. So, here's how this works. So, Far From Home was, at this point, the latest in the timeline. Takes place after Shang-Chi. Yeah. And after, Falcon and the Winter Soldier and WandaVision have taken place already, before Far From Home. But now we know, via Hawkeye episode 5, that the Statue of Liberty has been completed, and it's new, by episode 5.
Elaborate on that, because that might be a detail that some people might not be aware about.
So, if you've been watching the trailers, the Statue of Liberty in the Marvel Universe is being rebuilt to have its original bronze coloring. The statue is not actually green. It's actually green due to the oxidization of the bronze coloring, and people just left it. But in the Marvel Universe, they are getting rid of the oxidization, and they're giving Lady Liberty Captain America's shield, because he's basically a neo-founding father.
Yeah.
And so she's getting his shield. And we see throughout the No Way Home trailers that Spider-Man will fight at least Electro, Sandman, and Lizard at the Statue of Liberty, and that they will damage it while it's being constructed. Which means, and as we know, No Way Home picks up literally right at the end of Far From Home. So, we know that it works like this. The year is, I believe, 2024 now, because Far From Home takes place a year from the end of Endgame.
Yeah.
So, it is now 2024, and so we know that No Way Home will take place right before Hawkeye, as No Way Home also ends in winter. Given how all the trailers have been showing things, it looks like it starts at 2020, starts in 2023, which is when Far From Home ends, and then we get to 2024, where No Way Home is because we go through the seasons.
Yeah.
And so we actually finally have a firm timeline placement for this movie.
Yeah. Which is a lot of work for people to do because how many IPs in the MCU have we gotten in the past year?
I know.
Because we've gotten like 4 shows, 3 movies.
No, it's more than 4. We have 5 shows. 5 shows, 5 movies, if you want to count Venom. Because it's not part of the MCU.
Yeah, because it's not part of the MCU.
So yeah, 5 shows, 5 movies, and pretty much every one of them has aspects that take place after Endgame.
Yep.
I mean, technically, What If is whenever.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so we finally got a firm timeline placement, which is good. Villains. Specifically, villain upgrades from the previous movies.
Yeah. Oh, one thing I did want to bring up.
Yeah.
Is that there is a point in the trailer, it's pretty commonly seen at this point, where in his confrontation with Tom Holland's Spider-Man, Doc Ock actually upgrades his arms with
the nanotech.
With nanotech. I've actually been rewatching the Raimi trilogy. It's a small detail, but like in the first 10 minutes of the movie, you actually see that Norman Osborn actually had a thesis on nanotech.
Yeah, they do mention that.
Nanotech is nothing new in the Raimiverse, which is an interesting point coming into this. So it could lead you to believe that like his Doc Ock's pre-2010 robot arms are aware of what nanotech is.
Especially because doesn't Doc Ock in the Raimiverse get funding initially from Oscorp?
I'm not sure. I would have to rewatch that movie again.
I'm pretty sure in Spider-Man 2, he does get funding from Oscorp initially.
Because with these trailers in mind, having that little detail was very interesting to me because that definitely has a payoff 20 years later.
Yeah. So,
which, of course, that was definitely just a little scene hi, Norman Osborn. I've read your thesis on nanotech. I actually wrote a paper on it.
Yeah, I'm something of a scientist myself.
But yeah, that's a weird little detail that I noticed. That's in the trailer. Yeah. So it's weird because that universe was completely divorced from the MCU 20 years ago, and to have that be relevant now is kind of oh.
Yep. So that's one villain upgrade.
Yeah.
The other, Electro has. At this point, I think it is an arc reactor. I think it's one of the original arc reactors that Tony Stark had, and it's now being repurposed for Electro.
Yeah.
And I actually think when we first see Electro, he's going to be blue.
You think so?
I think he will be blue when we first see him, and the arc reactor will let him turn back to normal.
Let's be fair here. They did not treat Electro well at all in Amazing Spider-Man 2. The scene where he gets his powers and the electricity fixes the tooth gap in his mouth. Yes, for those who aren't aware, Electro's birth involves the electricity fixing his tooth gap. Which, why?
Evil is hot. Evil is hot.
Evil people must be attractive.
Yes. But I think he's actually going to be blue when we see him, and he will get the arc reactor, and that is going to make him yellow, and that's going to actually make him more powerful and more dangerous.
Yeah.
Goblin.
We do see a scene of him, in his little, old lady disguise, where he's in, the robe. And
I think that's going to be him pretending to be a homeless person.
Yeah.
Because we know Feast is going to be a part of this story. And for those of you who don't know what Feast is this homeless shelter that Aunt May runs, that Peter works at sometimes. And so I think Norman is going to pretend to be a homeless person to get into Feast.
Yeah, because we do see him interacting with Spider-Man. outside of his Power Rangers-esque armor.
Yeah, I actually think his armor is going to get destroyed
Because
early
we
on.
we actually do see like the mask destroyed early.
Yeah, I think his big upgrade is obviously the Hellbats, the Razorbats,
Yeah.
which I don't think he used in the Raimi trilogy.
He did. I think he did. Remember the big scene where like it's super iconic, where he like flips around and dodges the razor blades.
Oh right.
That
Oh
that
yeah,
is
those were Razorbats.
yeah. That is the most iconic scene in the first movie, without a doubt.
I
Or
mean,
the most iconic shot for as far as like cinematography that scene has.
okay, I was gonna say the most iconic is the was 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 MJ with children.
Uh, yes, this is why you never want to be a hero, because you never know when some maniac will make you make the difficult decision: save the love of your life or save the children.
Dear God. But God, I fucking love Osborn. I love Willem Dafoe.
I mean, yeah.
He makes that character come to life. But
Oh yeah, I can definitely say that without a doubt after rewatching the movie.
do you think he's going to get an upgrade?
Um, I don't think his character warrants an upgrade.
I mean, I don't think any of these characters really needed upgrades to be terrifying in their own right.
I mean, we do see Electro with upgrades. We see Doc Ock with upgrades.
I think he is.
Yeah.
Now, the other two, Lizard and Sandman. So here's an interesting thing. Doctor Strange says that every one of these villains dies fighting Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But we've only seen 3 of them die fighting Spider-Man, which is Electro, Doc Ock, and Goblin.
Yeah.
We never see Lizard and Sandman, which leads me to believe we're going to see a bit of what happened in the Raimiverse and in the Amazing Spider-Man universe after after the trilogy and the duology respectively ended. And we're actually going to find out that they did fight Sandman and Lizard later on in their careers, and they did end up dying then.
Yeah.
So I think the power-ups for...
Honestly, I don't... Because when I think about Curtis Connors, I don't see him returning to that lifestyle. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
So the thing about Kurt Connors in the comics is that it's unwilling. He degenerates.
That is true.
He mentally degenerates the longer he stays as the Lizard.
But at the same time, he had the lizard DNA removed from his system.
I think they're gonna make it be like, nah.
Yeah, because when I think of that character, I see him fully reformed at the end of that movie.
I think it's more that his brain is just gonna neurodegenerate, and by the time he ends up encountering Andrew Garfield Spider-Man again, it's just over for him.
Which, when you put it in that light, you can think like, oh yeah, his DNA has changed multiple times with him continuously inserting the lizard DNA into him and then reverting back completely. I guess I can see that.
Yeah, I think what it's going to be is that we're going to find out for Toby, Sandman tried to stay out of the life, but hard times fell down on him, and he was like, I got to do it again, because that's kind of the whole thing with Flint Marko is that he's a villain, but like he does it out of convenience. And I think what's going to happen is we're going to find out that him and Tobey Maguire Spider-Man fought each other one more time, and in that last time, he does actually die.
Which, that one, I actually cannot buy.
That he
went back to villainy. I cannot buy that.
It's not that he's going back to being evil for the sake of being evil, but it's more about the fact that...
Because when he like, goes away, it's not implied that he died at the end of the movie.
No. I think what it is that it's going to show that later on that, like, times are still tough for him. He's an ex-criminal, and shit sucks. And he was just going to do something just to, prop himself up and help his family, and he ends up fighting Spider-Man again. And this time, unfortunately, the fight doesn't go that way. I think that's what we're going to see from Toby, and we're also going to see a similar thing with Kirk Connors for Andrew, and that's when we're going to see them talking to Tom about what does he do when a villain dies because of him.
Yeah.
And that's going to be his whole closure with the Mysterio arc, and dealing with the fact that Mysterio died fighting him.
Yeah, because they didn't like outright murder their antagonists of their movies. Like, of course, Green Goblin died because of
he stabbed himself with the glider
because he thought he was going to be able to stab Tobey Maguire, but instead it was himself. Doc Ock sacrifices himself. The Venom symbiote is thrown away, but of course we're not going to get. Was it Topher Grace that played Venom? Yeah, we're probably not going to see Topher Grace Venom, but if we do, that would be the biggest surprise.
I have a theory about the other two Venoms.
Yeah. And then, of course, we also got Sandman, who wasn't implied to have died in that movie.
Yeah, he didn't die.
And then Curtis Connor didn't die in his movie. I'll be honest with you, I've tried so hard to get Amazing Spider-Man 2 out of my head, so I'm not even going to attempt to remember those.
Yeah, so Amazing Spider-Man 2 also had a new Goblin in it too, didn't it?
Oh yeah, it did. It did. Oh god, now I remember that. Ugh.
That one was just ugly. I like Topher Grace's better.
Or you mean Willem Dafoe's?
No. I liked James Franco's better. That's what I mean.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, no, James Franco's was actually pretty good.
I like James Franco's new Goblin, not whoever played the new Goblin in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
But so I do think that that's going to be the arc, and that's the upgrades that Sandman and Lizard get, is that they just have more. Lizard will be more feral, thus way more dangerous, and Sandman will have more experience with his sand powers.
Yeah.
That's why he's a giant sand face.
Which, I'm going to be honest, I'm going to be laughing when I see Lizard again because he looks like a Goomba.
He looks like Bowser.
No, he looks like a Goomba from the Super Mario Brothers
movie. Oh, right, that is what the Goombas look like. I thought that was Bowser. No, Bowser just looks like a mafia boss with really bad hair.
No. Lizard literally looks like a Goomba.
No, he does look like one of the Goombas. God damn it. But,
why did they turn Toad into a Goomba?
Just not talking about that.
Yeah, we've gone on several tangents before. Let's not let this be one of them.
No, let's not talk about that. But so I think that's going to be what the villains' upgrades are going to be. As for their arcs, I think it's just going to be they want to live.
Yeah, because in the trailer we only see like outside of fights, we see Doc Ock caged up, but we don't sense too much hostility. I don't want to say hostility, because of course he's going to be hostile, but we don't see a lot of urgency in his character.
I mean, he just got sealed in a magic box by a wizard.
Yeah.
I don't think he's in any position.
Fair.
I think the villain arcs are going to be that they want to live, and Strange is like, you have to die for my universe to live. And I think what the other two Spider-Men are going to be there for is to show Peter that, like, you're going to lose people and you're going to lose villains. But it's fine. These guys made the choices in their lives, and maybe when they return to our universe, maybe things will turn out maybe a little different. Yeah, I think the whole villain story arc is mainly going to be about Peter coming to terms with the fact that, like, sometimes his villains will die.
Yeah.
Do you think someone is going to die from the main cast?
So, a lot of people have been speculating that Andrew Garfield is going to save MJ as a way to atone for not being able to save Gwen in his movie. That's been a popular fan theory for a while. So, which your question leads me into that thought process immediately because that's been what everyone's been talking about as far as, oh, is MJ going to die in that fall scene? And like, no, people immediately go to, no, Andrew Garfield needs this in his character development. So
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's going to die in the main cast. I'm going to be perfectly honest with you.
I think it's gonna be either Happy or Aunt May.
See, I'm not willing to say Aunt May will die, mostly because where does that leave Tom Holland's Spider-Man?
Yeah,
Because he already lost Uncle Ben. I don't think it benefits his character arc at all to kill off another family member.
I think if he's gonna lose anyone, it should be Happy.
I can buy Happy.
Because I feel like Happy's character arc now is basically
It's pretty much over, yeah.
because Tony's dead. Him and Rhodey were never really close.
And
I don't think we've actually ever seen him and Rhodey be like close
And
in any
Pep-
of the art.
and Pepper is pretty much living in her dream house at this point.
Yeah, she's living in her dream house,
Wait.
and she has the rescue armor.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And she's raising a kid.
yeah, and I mean,
So-
I think Happy's job is just work with Peter.
And yeah.
I mean,
'Cause-
Aunt May broke up with him.
I mean, they were never really together.
They were fuck buddies. Come on. They were fucking, and then she was like, "I think we're done. I had my fun."
Because the most we see of him outside of Stark Industries is him transporting all the equipment from the Avengers Tower over to the complex.
Yeah,
Because that's the other role we see him in outside of Stark Industries.
and you can even say that that's part of his job at Stark Industries.
Yeah.
Because I mean, the Avengers Tower was owned by Stark Industries.
Yeah.
So you can even say that was still part of his Stark Industry job.
Yeah.
Speaking of Stark Industries, do you think we'll see who owns Avengers Tower? We've been getting teases about this in Far From Home. We've got teases about it in Loki and in Hawkeye and in this one.
Really?
Yes. So, Far From Home, there's at the end scene, he flies through the atrium of Stark Tower, which wasn't there when we last saw it, so that's new. Loki, we see Kang Tower, where when Loki gets pruned. In the background, we see Kang Tower, which is when Kang in the comics bought Stark Tower under the Kang Industries. And so we saw that, implying that in one universe, Tony sold it to Kang. Who did he sell it in this universe? And then in Hawkeye, Kate's like, "Oh, are we going to Avengers Tower?" And Hawkeye's just like, "No, Tony sold that years ago."
Yeah.
And then in interviews leading up to it, Tom Holland has mentioned that he does know which character has purchased Avengers Tower.
Oh, really?
And some people have been theorizing that maybe Kingpin and Hawkeye has purchased Avengers Tower. I personally don't think he did. I personally think it's a toss-up between the Oscorp building or the Baxter building.
Yeah. Which, I mean, to have this universe as Norman Osborn, if he exists, would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's more aspects about Norman Osborn than just the Green Goblin. And I think if we're gonna get Norman Osborn in the MCU, we're gonna get Norman Osborn the politician.
Because people forget that he's not just the Green Goblin in some of his iterations. Some iterations he takes on like a Lex Luthor-esque persona.
Yeah, I mean, after oh my god, I got it! Because in the comics, after Secret Invasion, he kills the Queen Skrull, and that lets him oust Tony Stark as the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. He becomes the head of S.H.I.E.L.D., and by proxy, he also takes over basically the entirety of the United States Armed Forces. He creates the Thunderbolts / Dark Avengers. He enforces the 50-state initiative, which is that all 50 states has a superhero team, and then uses all that power to invade Asgard. which was on Earth at the time,
Oh God.
which Asgard is now on Earth. And with Val, we've seen that she has a lot of superpowered or like very skilled individuals under her employ. So, what if he does buy Stark Tower, the Avengers Tower, and he's using this as a springboard for some type of play for political power? And I think this is more likely because of the fact that we're probably not going to see General Ross anymore because of the sexual assault allegations levied against William Hurst, which is why he wasn't in Black Widow all that much. That's why they cut out that giant scene with him, because I mean, ew.
Yeah.
So I think now more than ever, if we do get Norman Osborn, I think we'll be getting Norman Osborn, the Iron Patriot, because that's who he goes by. At the end of Secret Invasion, he becomes the Iron Patriot, which may tie into Armor Wars, in fact. What if Norman Osborn is Sonny Burch's buyer from Ant-Man and the Wasp, and he's been collecting superhero-like technology for Oscorp so he can become a powerful individual on his own. And Armor Wars, we know, is going to have Sonny Burch and Justin Hammer return. What if he uses the two of them to get as much superpower technology so he can become the Iron Patriot, and that's how he's going to become the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. or S.W.O.R.D., and he'll rename it to Hammer.
Yeah. Which, let me just say this, Sonny was the most forgettable villain ever. Not the worst. Not the worst. That still goes out to...
Malekith.
You think Malekith?
Malekith is a dull, dark, brooding character and is nothing like how he actually is in the comics, which is a flamboyant, like, he's a hate-filled, flamboyant trickster.
Yeah.
Like, I don't even want to compare him to Loki because his level of flamboyancy and trickery is different than Loki's.
Right. Because his is a little less chaotic.
Yeah.
But at the same time, he's not memorable in that movie whatsoever.
Yeah, Malekith is just...
I mean... Yeah.
But I think Sonny Burch was only carried by the fact he was played by Walter Rogers.
Yeah. And even then, like, Ant-Man and the Wasp was not great. Let's...
The whole the fight between Hank and Bill about Ghost was a little just contrived.
Yeah. But anyway, so
yeah, that's my mega theory about who owns Stark Tower and how it's actually Norman Osborn, and we're gonna find that out in this movie.
Yeah. Which, do we have any other questions concerning this movie? Because, I mean, mind you, this movie comes out in 2 days.
Daredevil.
There is Daredevil, but there are rumors saying that he's going to, like, not don the costume again, but that he's just going to play the lawyer role.
I think better to say Daredevil won't be in the movie, but Matthew Murdock will be in it.
Right.
I hope they make a reference to Foggy. Like, I hope when he's representing him, he says that I'm Matt Murdock of Nelson and Murdock.
No, it's Nelson, Murdock, and Page.
Right! They did make it Nelson, Murdock, and Page at the end.
Yes.
I really hope they do that.
Yeah.
I really hope that
Especially because Vincent D'Onofrio shot out Karen Page's actress on Twitter.
Yeah, he did shout her out the other day. So I really hope that he references those two, because that'd be great.
Yeah.
Also, wasn't Foggy Luke Cage's lawyer?
Yes.
Please bring Foggy back!
He was unironically a great character.
He was such a great character. Underutilized, in my opinion, in Season 1, but phenomenal afterwards. In Season 2, Defenders, and Season 3, he was great.
Yeah, yeah.
I think he was criminally underutilized in Season 1. He was basically just going over all of the plot points that Matt had previously discovered and wasn't adding too much new context to them.
Yeah.
It was mainly Ben. Ben Urich was the one that was actually adding new context to things and died for it.
Yeah, but with all of all of those questions looming, is there anything else there is to discuss? Like,
Rumors that this will not be the last time we see Tobey Maguire or Andrew Garfield in the MCU.
okay,
So, I will say this. This hasn't been spoken about much nowadays. But there were rumors in the past, and it may come to fruition still, that Andrew Garfield was supposed to show up in Multiverse of Madness. I don't know how likely that is, considering this is the Multiverse of Madness so far is rumored to have Strange, Wanda,
Captain Carter,
Loki, Sylvie, Mordo, America Chavez, Wong, and why am I forgetting? Forgetting the name. It's another character that was going to cross over. I said Mordo. I said America Chavez. I said Loki, Sylvie, Captain Carter. Strange Supreme.
oh boy.
Strange Supreme is supposed to be in it. And maybe, just maybe, I've also heard these last, actually three. The last three that I've heard that could be in this movie are very outlandish, but I think I should still mention it. Tom Cruise Iron Man, Ultron, and Patrick Stewart Professor X.
Yeah.
All of these characters, in some way or another, have been rumored to show up in Multiverse of Madness. And so if we get another Spider-Man in Multiverse of Madness, after just dealing with Spider-Man in No Way Home,
And also bringing in other multiverses, because the X-Men series has its own mess of a multiverse.
yeah, that thing has like three timelines.
Yeah,
Because we don't know which timeline feeds into Old Man Logan.
yeah, and also like the amount of jokes Deadpool makes about which timeline he's in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's that. There's also Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield being rumored to be already in talks for Avengers 5 Secret Wars, which I actually believe they will return. I think they will return in that. I think Secret Wars is going to be everything that we fear about the multiverse, and they're somehow going to make it work. Like, I think Avengers 5 Secret Wars is going to do everything we're thinking, which is they're going to cross over with Spider-Verse. They're going to bring if the X-Men aren't already in there, they're going to bring them over. They're going to bring over the Fan Four Stick. They're going to bring over the original two Fantastic Four, the 60s Captain America, the Ang Lee Hulk film, the Japanese Spider-Man, and, of course, the legendary Howard the Duck movie. All crossing over.
Oh, why, George Lucas? Why did you make that?
Also, hot take, I also think we're going to see the return of Edward Norton Hulk and Terrence Howard War Machine as multiverse variants.
That is definitely pushing it for sure.
And as multiverse variants.
Oh god.
The real pushing it would be that we also get Hugo Weaving to return as Red Skull.
Oh god. Oh, those poor set crews having to deal with Edward Norton. Jeez. Especially the rumors that came out when they worked on the Hulk movie.
At least he wouldn't be too prominent in Secret Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can see it now. What a dumpster fire. What an amazingly high-budget Academy Award-winning dumpster fire. I can see it now.
Yeah.
Breaking box office records. Return of Chris Evans and Robert Downey Jr. CGI'd Chadwick Boseman back from the dead. I can see it now.
Please don't.
It's going to be a dumpster fire and it's going to make billions.
Can we just end the segment?
Yes. End the segment. Cut the segment. Anyways, so we finished that.
Yeah, I think that pretty much answers every question that we've had looming in our minds.
Yes, this kind of became just a gigantic Marvel shitpost at the end. But let's talk about something that isn't Marvel that I think is really cool, which is that, surprisingly, again, for the second week in a row, the Pokemon Company has decided, let's just release new Pokemon trailers on Wednesdays, completely throwing off what our topics are going to be for our podcast.
Actually, did they release the Voltorb one on Thursday?
Yeah, they did release that on Thursday.
So they still are messing with our podcast.
Yes.
They're still messing with us.
Yes. I know you're watching, Masada. But anyway, so the new thing that we got is we got a new Pokemon Legends Arceus trailer, specifically this one revealing new characters.
And new clans.
Yes, so the things that we got is we have...
I'm gonna jump ahead of this.
Yeah, go.
For the Diamond clan, Adaman. Really? Really? That is the most blatant character name I have ever heard. Like, we gotta think of the name for the Diamond clan. Dialga, Adamant Orb, Adamant. That's what we're going with.
Do you want to know what his biggest trait is?
What?
He hates seeing time go to waste.
Oh!
It's so cheesy.
It's so bad. But I know this game is going to be good.
I mean, let's be honest here. Are we really expecting much from Pokemon in terms of puns? Or are we really expecting them to be above this?
I mean, this is literally the company that made Farfetch'd.
Yeah. This is the company that made Ekans. It's Snake backwards!
Do I continue the joke? Do I continue the joke?
Shut up. But yeah, so we have Adaman. But do you want to know what his ace Pokemon is?
What?
It's a Leafeon.
Really?
Yeah.
That's actually kind of strange.
Yeah.
It doesn't really fit. It's like doesn't really have any like connection at all to anything really.
Yeah.
Because it's not like blue like a diamond. It has nothing to do with Dialga at all.
Yeah. In fact, the Pearl Clan counterpart, Irida, whose name is, not as blatant, but her ace is Glaceon.
Yeah. Which, I mean, I see what they're doing, because it's the two Sinnoh evolutions.
Yeah.
But it's like, they don't really have much, like, connection to their namesake.
Yeah. And her trait is, not a pun. Hers is that she's suspicious of people at first, but she comes around to respect and trust people when they help noble Pokemon.
So what you're saying is, she likes her personal
I hate you.
space.
I hate you. I absolutely
You
hate
did this
you.
to me.
Shut
You
up.
did this to me and you deserve this.
I hate you. Anyways, we also have new characters in the Ginkgo Guild.
Which is a very weird thing to try to build hype around, because as far as I've seen, it's just a shop stand.
I think it's mainly because of the two characters of the guild. Now, this is another aspect of Pokemon Legends Arceus and their leaks that people are now fascinated with. So last time we talked about, when it came to leaks, we talked about all the new Pokemon forms and all the new Pokemon that are coming out. This time we're talking about characters and specifically character relationships.
So, what's the character I'm thinking of? Because a lot of people are saying that, is it Volo?
Volo.
Volo. A lot of people are saying that Volo is a descendant of Cynthia,
Yes.
Which it's a definite yes.
I think, what's the other guy's name? It's Volo and... What is his name?
Does it also start with a V?
I don't think it starts... It's not Gunter. It's... Ginter!
Oh, God.
God! Oh, his name is Ginter!
Oh, that is such an ugly name.
Yeah, so it looks like Ginter is Volkner's predecessor. Volo would be Cynthia's. Then we have, what's it called? Adaman looks like he's related to Professor Sycamore, potentially. Irida shares traits with May and Serena. And then obviously there are other trainers such as Kamado is obviously Rowan. Silene is Cyrus.
Of course.
Arezu most likely is from Mars because Ares, Mars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only reason I agreed to do this segment is because I needed to rant about Adaman.
Yeah.
Because that name is demonstrably bad.
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it. And
yeah, but apparently with Pokemon Legends Arceus, the other big thing alongside the new Pokemon forms is the character relationships, such as Leanne, who is one of the wardens, is clearly a predecessor for Clay. But the theory, not theory, but one of the theory that is coming from the leaks is potentially also that there's another person that is descended from Leanne but is in a different region, which would then tie them to be related to Clay in the modern day. Which I am actually all for having more character family trees, because we have them, they're a thing, but they're not necessarily prominent. Like, we have Koga and Janine, we have Professor Oak and Blue and Daisy.
Yeah, we've got, of course, Norman and May / Brendan.
It's not. I think it's canonically Norman and Brendan and Birch and May.
Yeah.
We have of course, Giovanni and Silver.
We have Rourke and Clay.
No.
No.
Rourke, Byron.
Oh, Byron. That's what I'm thinking about.
It's Rourke, Byron, and the guy that gives you the Explorer kit in Eterna City. That's actually 3 generations right there. We have Flint and Buck.
Yeah.
It took me a long time to realize that Flint and Buck were related. We have Ingo and Emmett. Battle Subway.
Yeah.
We have Ingo and Emmett. We have Lily, Gladion, Lucamine, and Moan.
And then, aside from those,
did we have any families in Gen 6?
I don't think we had any in Gen 6.
Oh, we had Karina and Gunther. Or Gherkin. Karina and Gherkin.
Yeah. And then I don't think we had any in Gen 8.
Yeah, we do.
Oh, we do?
Hop, Leon, Marnie, Pierce, Melody, and Gordy.
Right.
They are all Peony and Peonia.
Yeah.
Come on, that was easy. Sword and Shield has the most. Oh, Professor Rose is also related to Peony and Peonia.
Okay, to be fair,
not Professor Rose, Chairman Rose.
Gen 8 was the one I played the least.
Yeah, Professor Magnolia and Sonia. Come on,
I get it.
Almost every character is related to another character in Sword and Shield.
I get it. Okay.
Yeah, but the big thing is Ray and Akari. Are they related to Dawn and Lucas? Because they look like them.
I mean, it's pretty much a given.
Yeah. Some people are thinking time travel things because, we still have that Arceus phone. It's a smartphone. So, there's that. So, this would be really interesting. Apparently, the biggest thing to be confirmed from these leaks is the fan theory that has existed since 2006. When did Pokemon Diamond come out? 2008?
Because Platinum was 2010, right?
Yeah, so this fan theory has been around since 2008, which is that Agatha and Bertha are related. I remember hearing about that theory. That was the first Pokemon fan theory I have ever heard of, was the Agatha-Bertha relationship. And apparently Legends Arceus is going to confirm that Agatha and Bertha are related, and they have a common ancestor, being one of the Wardens.
Okay.
So...
But aside from that, the trailer didn't really reveal much else besides characters.
Yeah. They did reveal that Darkrai will have an event in Legends Arceus.
Yeah.
Where if you have Brilliant Diamond or Shining Pearl save data on your Switch, you will unlock an event that will allow you to catch Darkrai, which is pretty cool. you will also be able to get modern day Team Galactic outfits to
Oh.
wear.
Huh.
So there's that. If you have Sword and Shield save data, Sword or Shield save data on your Switch, you get a Shaman event
And
and
then
a Shaman outfit.
and then the least exciting of them all, if you've got Let's Go Pikachu and Let's Go Eevee save data, you get Pikachu and Eevee masks.
Yeah, they kind of ran out of mythicals to give away to you. I mean, they kind of blew their load by giving you Mew and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl.
They gave you Mew, Jirachi, and Manaphy, and by that case, you also get Fiona.
Well, you need Ditto, and Ditto's only in the Master Decks, the National Decks.
Still, they practically give you Fiona.
Yeah. You get Manaphy because Pokemon Ranger didn't get remade, so obviously that's why.
Oh god, I want a remake, or I just want a new game so badly.
Yeah.
And they haven't made one like over a decade.
Yeah. I mean, Mystery Dungeon and Pokemon Snap came back, so who knows?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean,
so Manaphy only came back because we don't have a Ranger remake, and Jirachi was because if you had Sword and Shield.
yeah.
So, poor old Deoxys. Deoxys actually just got fucking shitted on. Like, Deoxys doesn't get given out anyway.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, Deoxys did get was catchable in Oras.
Oras was 6 years ago.
Oh my god.
That was 6 years ago. That was 2 generations of Pokemon ago.
I need to lie down for a second.
That's not recent at all. Deoxys got dicked.
Oh my god.
So,
oh my god. How was that long ago? Oh my god.
Oras was 6 years ago.
Oh my god. That was the last VGC meta I ever participated in, and oh my god, that was so long ago.
Wait, you didn't participate in VGC 2017 when Sun and Moon came out?
No, I didn't go to any physical events.
Oh, okay.
No, I was in the greatest VGC year of them all, when Mega Rayquazas were all over the place.
Okay, let's be honest here. Did you really want to play in the chalk meta, or did you want to play in the Big Four meta?
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, my Cresselia Garchomp combo took out a lot of teams.
Yeah.
Because
I would prefer to be in the Big Four meta.
Because I pretty much just had to Icy Wind, and Mega Garchomp was just gonna wreck house.
Do you use Trick Room?
No, I Icy Wind and then just slaughter with Garchomp.
I mean, I guess that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah, because I Icy Wind, protect with Garchomp, fake people out, and then Mega Evolve the second turn.
Okay. But yeah, no, Oras was 6 years ago. So Deoxys, stay taking L's because Deoxys hasn't gotten jack shit since 2015. Mew got to be in a Pokeball Plus for 2 games across 2 generations. Celebi got a movie again alongside Zarude. Jirachi
got released as a shiny.
Yeah. Jirachi got what's it called? Jirachi got the Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, which Sword and Shield.
It also got released in Platinum as an event.
Okay, Platinum was over a decade ago.
We're talking about quantity here.
Okay, fine. Quantity-wise, Deoxys hasn't been released as Deoxys got released as an event in Gen 3, which was about 15 years ago. Got released again in Gen 5, which was about 9 years ago. And then was catchable in Oras, which was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, Deoxys got dicked. Jirachi had its own event. It had the Coliseum bonus disc. You could get the Draco Meteor one in Platinum. I'm pretty sure you got it in Gen 5.
Okay. I am going to put my foot down because this has turned into a long tangent because we've
Yeah.
ran out of stuff to talk about in the Pokemon trailer. So
Okay. Okay.
I'm just gonna
I was gonna finish about all the pre-orders, but then we started talking about how Deoxys got dicked over.
So we're just gonna end the Pokemon segment right here because we've got a lot more to talk about, and we're already an hour and 40 minutes in.
Okay. Fine. Yes. Okay. So finishing off, you get a lot of pre-order bonuses if you buy the game, and if you have other games. New characters look pretty cool. I hope they reveal more family trees. We're out of that one. Side tangent for our next segment. Star Wars Eclipse was announced last episode.
Well, I guess
In the middle of last episode.
Yeah.
And we said we would mention it this episode.
Yeah. So we're going to be talking about what was revealed at the Game Awards this week, or this past week.
Yeah.
So, which one do you want to touch on first? I honestly, because probably the most we'll get our discussion on is probably what was revealed in the Sonic franchise.
Yeah. So, just a precaution for everyone here. We don't really care about the Game Awards, and we didn't care about most of the games announced at the Game Awards. Nor did we care about most of the awards. The only awards that really mattered was Metroid winning
Action Adventure.
Simple won Esports Player of the Year. Dream won Content Creator of the Year.
Which I've got some opinions on, but not for today.
I mean, compared to all the other nominees, I think Dream deserved it.
Yeah, those other nominees were pretty bad.
Yeah. So, and League won Esports Game of the Year.
Because of course it did. Oh yeah, and also Genshin Impact won mobile game.
Did you just say Genshin?
Yeah, that's how they said it on the stage.
I'm gonna shoot this.
Yeah,
in Roblox. in Roblox, but yeah, Genshin Impact won mobile game of the year,
and also was mispronounced horribly and caused a huge Twitter outcry.
Yeah. Also, Sting and Imagine Dragons were there.
Sure.
Imagine Dragon, these balls on your face.
Owned.
Shut up. You weren't supposed to respond to that. Anyways, so the first thing that we saw there was Star Wars Eclipse.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on the trailer?
So, obviously, the music, cinematography were beyond this world.
Yeah.
Because it was spectacular in every way, shape, and form. But of course, I do have to complain that we got no indication of what genre this game is taking place in. We have no idea what the gameplay is going to be like. So, as amazing as this reveal was, I'm still going to complain about the fact that we have no idea what this game is going to be about.
Yeah. I can really only echo the things that Sovereign said because it looked absolutely beautiful. Just the way they showed this. I think they're new. I think this is a new alien species to the Star Universe, using the drums, and just the way they did it was so cool. The aesthetics of it all was really cool, and we also got to see Master Yoda. This game was supposed to take place during the High Republic time period, which is the time period in between the Old Republic and the prequels. It's a time period that we rarely see explored in Star Wars. It was actually not even really that explored in Legends, much less in canon. So
yeah, and to touch on the cinematography, like we don't really see many good like space battles. Like when we think of good space battles, immediately comes to mind like Episode 3, Rogue One, The Last Jedi. Those are the only movies that I can think of with like spectacular space battles.
Yeah.
But this one was shot better than any of the movies could ever dream of, with the exception of Rogue One.
Yeah. The inner Star Wars nerd in me is like jumping with glee because this space battle is really interesting to me because we're seeing Old Republic style ships, but we're also seeing modern era ships like the Trade Federation droid stations being there, which I find really interesting because I guess it was during the High Republic period that the Trade Federation really started to become a superpower.
Because the Trade Federation is never like looked upon as like an exciting part of the Star Wars lore.
You haven't seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars, so you don't get to say that.
Exactly.
You don't get to say that because you haven't seen Star Wars: The Clone Wars. But I am actually really excited to see what the plot of this is because most of it is new. Most of this is new. Like the High Republic time period is a time period that is only been recently explored in Disney canon, and so there's a lot of just open space for creators to run wild with. I think the only familiar sites we really are seeing are Yoda in the Jedi Council room and the Trade Federation ships, but I doubt it's going to be run by the same people. I doubt Newt Gunray is even alive at this point.
Yeah, though I do want to put a little bit of padding on my statement because, of course, I went hard into the trailer, but at the same time, I do think they're also going to be very early in development at this point.
Oh yeah, I definitely think this is an early development trailer.
Because, and also, I'm very doubtful this is going to be like a Battlefront 2 situation.
Oh yes.
Because, was it First Order? The last game that came out? The last Star Wars game? Fallen Order.
Fallen Order, yes.
Yeah, Star Wars Fallen Order.
Yeah.
That game was pretty well received, so...
Yeah,
so
I haven't played it because I don't own a console to play it on. But from what I watched, it looked really cool.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure this game is going to be pretty good, and the reveal was definitely top tier to say the least.
Yeah. Before we get into the other big reveal, they also revealed Dune is getting a game.
Yeah,
it's going to be an action RPG.
We're also getting Matrix. It's going to be set in the Unreal Engine, I believe, right?
Unreal Engine 4.
Was it 4 or 5?
Oh, right. There is an Unreal Engine 5. It's probably 5 then.
Yeah, I thought it was 5.
Yeah.
Which, of course, Matrix coming out soon, so of course it's got to be there. Keanu Reeves has definitely got to be on the front as well.
Same with Lawrence Fishburne. The other thing that was announced was Among Us in VR.
You need to give that more hype. I'm sorry. You're not displaying the correct amount of hype for Among Us in VR.
Fine. Fine.
Please don't follow up on the joke. It was only a joke. Please don't actually follow through with it. Please don't.
Good. Anyways.
Because, as far as we know, Among Us holds a lot of relevancy in pop culture in late 2021.
I mean, it's still a fun game.
It's still a fun game. I mean, did you know that they actually updated it in the past month?
I knew they updated it so you can now have 15 players.
But there are roles now.
Roles?
Yeah, like there's the Engineer, the Guardian Angel. Yeah, these were pretty recent add-ons. Oh yeah, and the Shapeshifter.
Wow, they're really going into the John Carpenter. They're really leaning into John Carpenter's The Thing right now. Like, it was already inspired, but if we're going full Shapeshifter, they're really leaning into that.
Yeah.
But, cool. But anyways, let's get to the main meat and potatoes of the things from the Game Award that we actually cared about, which is Sonic, The New Frontier, which looks beautiful, actually.
When I saw it, I immediately thought, Sonic Breath of the Wild. That's what this is.
It reminds me of the new Kirby game that got announced.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it gives me similar aesthetic vibes. Except Kirby clearly takes place on a post-apocalyptic Earth that isn't Shiverburn. No, that's Shiverburn is Mario, right?
Yeah, Shiverburn is Mario.
Kirby has a post-apocalyptic Earth already, but yeah. But this one is really beautiful, and
but of course it's another cinematic trailer. It's not going to be actual gameplay, but some of the shots were done to make it look like gameplay, and that's why I'm thinking this is still going to be a very high-quality Sonic game.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a high-quality Sonic game. I'm not going to lie. It gave me Sonic 06 vibes in terms of the tone of the story.
Yeah.
So if we can get Sonic 06 story in a good game, and minus the bestiality, that would be great. Because let's not retread that, please, Sega. No one liked the bestiality love story.
Yeah. And now, for what everyone's really talking about, is Sonic the Movie 2. Now, of course, being adults, we're about as hyped for this as we are for Detective Pikachu. It's exciting to see a movie that we wanted to see in our childhood finally grow into fruition. But are we actually going to sit down in the theater and like be super hyped for it? No. We need to talk about the real news, though. The fact that they got Idris Elba as Knuckles. That's what everyone is talking about. That's the only reason people are excited for this. They don't want to sit in the movies for a Sonic movie in their mid-20s. No. People want to see Idris Elba play Knuckles.
Yes. First of all, Idris Elba playing Knuckles, finally, at long last, confirms the thing that we've all known and we've all talked about, and everyone has been in agreement with, but we've just never said out loud. Knuckles is black. Knuckles is black. It is confirmed. Congratulations, Knuckles. Your N-word pass is in the mail. But honestly, Idris Elba playing as Knuckles is actually really cool. Like, I really liked how they showed him off, and I loved how Idris Elba is doing his voice.
Yeah.
It's definitely like
because like
a good. It's like not like cartoonishly deep, but it's deep enough to be intimidating for what Knuckles looks like.
Exactly, because he's not like using a standard voice like he did for when he played in the Suicide Squad, when he played
was it Bloodsport?
Yeah, Bloodsport. When he played Bloodsport,
yeah,
like he's clearly putting on a voice, like a different like he's definitely going above and beyond using just his normal voice acting for this role.
Yeah, and I think it's incredible. I think this trailer is actually really good. It's actually giving me a lot of Sonic. Oh, it's like Sonic 3 / Sonic and Knuckles vibes.
I mean, that's what this whole story is, introducing Tails.
Well, Tails was in Sonic 2.
You said Sonic
3.
And
no, when I say Sonic 3 and Knuckles, I mean Sonic 3
and Sonic
the
and
two
Knuckles.
Separate games.
I forget that they're...
Yes, they're two separate games. Did you not watch the Scott the Woz video?
Right.
But yes, it's giving me a lot of Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles vibes.
That's the whole point of bringing, the plot is to cover Sonic 3.
Yeah, and I think it's really cool. For one, we're getting the whole, you ain't shit, Sonic. Like, he straight up says, what makes you think I want your power? Which is obviously supposed to give you flashbacks to when, what is it, Sonic and Tails first go to, I think it's Angel Island. It's called Angel Island.
Yeah, it's called Angel Island.
Yeah, where Knuckles pretty much just clowns on Super Sonic and just robs him in broad daylight.
Yeah.
Which was amazing. Even if it was pixelated in the 90s, it was amazing.
And it only lasted 3 seconds.
It was still amazing to see Super Sonic just get absolutely clowned on. And it really is giving that type of vibes. But it's also giving us, Sonic is getting more friends.
And also is dumping the standard white guy accompanies CG character, because it's pretty much implied that he's going to be out of the story.
Yeah, I mean, he was good for a first movie, but I feel like even when the original Sonic movie first came out, I felt it would be better if they took a Sonic X approach. Even though I know people would find it annoying if Sonic was working with a kid. But Sonic X really made it work where Sonic had a child friend. Because Sonic himself is a child.
Yeah. Well, when you put this movie into context with how other CG kids movies are, the characterization is too close to other really bad movies. The Chipmunks, the Smurfs.
Yeah. Except Sonic is actually interesting.
Except Sonic is actually a good character.
Yeah.
Because, he doesn't have the same characterization as he would in the games. He's a little more childish.
Yeah. Well, it actually is his characterization from the games. Because in the games, in the first couple games, he is a kid.
Yeah.
So it makes sense
Well,
that
I'm
he
thinking
would.
more modern Sonic.
Yeah, yeah. Modern Sonic, he's an adult at this point, but the first couple Sonic games, he's a kid. Him
Yeah,
and Tails are just kids, and Knuckles is like an older teenager, and Eggman is still just a grown-ass man.
but yeah, out of everything we have to talk about, nothing else in this movie is interesting to us. The only thing that is remotely interesting is the casting of Knuckles.
I'm actually kind of interested in how they're adapting the Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles plot because it's clear that Eggman does have the Master Emerald, which was the whole thing about
Actually, maybe I take.
getting Eggman. That's the whole thing of how Eggman got Knuckles and Sonic to fight was that Eggman was like Sonic's trying to steal your Master Emerald, even though Eggman's the one that stole it.
Yeah, actually, I take that back. Jim Carrey is also really good as Dr. Eggman.
Yes, I really liked how they got him to do the laugh at the post-credit scene, and I really hope we get to see more of it.
Yeah.
We're getting his sidekick. I don't remember the guy's name.
Yeah.
He went from working for the U.S. government to working at Starbucks, and he got his old job back.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really interested in seeing how they plan on adapting the plot from Sonic 3 and Sonic and Knuckles, because I mean, the plot involved 4 characters.
Yeah.
It was a 4-character show.
So, really, just to round it all up, my interest in the movie is very surface level because I am not hyped for this movie. I am only interested in one single aspect of the movie. I will say, this trailer was too good for this movie.
It was.
The trailer didn't deserve to be this good.
It did. It really didn't, and it makes me actually interested in the fight scenes that will come from this. Because the one thing I really want to see is, have you ever played Sonic Riders Zero Gravity?
I think once.
So at the end of Sonic Riders Zero Gravity, there's this really beautiful like cutscene at the very end where Sonic and Jet the Hawk are racing. It's like racing. It's kind of like race fighting where they're like they're in a crowded like tunnel with cars everywhere, and it's them like jumping over the cars and like zooming past each other on their air gears, and just the way it was filmed and the way like they portrayed the speed of it all, in my opinion, was really beautiful. And if we get something like that in this movie for the fights, I think this movie would have succeeded as a good Sonic adaptation.
Yeah.
But
Alright, that should pretty much round up our discussion of the Game Awards.
yes, I believe that's actually our last media segment, is it not?
Yep, now we get to dive into the really fun stuff.
Yes, so we are now going to start our politics segment of the podcast. We actually haven't had a politics segment in about 2 weeks, because last week we really didn't have much to go off of.
And it was also our 10th episode, and we did come off of a really doomer segment, so we needed to have some fun.
Yeah. But we're back to doomer shit because
No.
what I mean is that we're back to depressing things.
There we go.
Because
That's
our
better.
first segment is going to be on the unfortunate tragedy that happened in Illinois earlier this week, where a tornado, I believe an EF rank 3 tornado that had currently been carving up the Midwest from Kentucky, also hit Illinois, and it killed many people. And it's really sad when it happens because it's an act of nature, and it's very hard to kind of deal with it. It's a tornado.
Yeah.
Like, it's a tornado. What do you do? Like, if you can't get out in time, you just gotta really hope and pray that where you're hiding doesn't get sucked out of the ground.
Yeah. So the big point is, because of course the group of tornadoes that were in the Midwest were like killing a lot of people, like several dozens.
It was really bad. I've heard upwards of 100 people have passed.
But the real focus that we want to get into is the Amazon warehouse reaction to it all.
Yeah.
Because,
so if you didn't hear, there was an Amazon warehouse in Illinois,
and their employees were still being worked throughout the entire storm, and one tornado quite literally tore up the entire half of the building.
Half of the warehouse is gone. And unfortunately, 6 people have passed away
And
due to the tornado, and 1 person is critically injured and is still in the hospital recovering.
I want a lot of people to actually look at how much damage this did, because again, there are before and after shots. It literally tore half of the building to the ground,
Yeah,
and Amazon still felt that those were satisfactory enough working conditions.
yeah. I remember reading on the BBC about how the first siren went off, and management didn't think that was reason enough to stop working,
Yeah,
which is really terrible because, on one hand, yes, it's a tornado, and yes, it's probably a bit better to be in the warehouse than to be potentially driving on the road trying to run from a tornado where you may not know which direction it's coming from.
because most buildings are like in the Midwest should be equipped with like safe, like people should be well equipped with the knowledge to know where are the safe areas inside the building.
Yeah,
Because
and the warehouse did have safe areas.
Yeah,
The Amazon warehouse did have safe areas.
but the problem is the fact that they didn't stop working.
They didn't stop working them, and they ignored the first siren, which, I mean, some people can argue that by not letting them leave after the first siren, you're robbing people of the potentiality of seeing their family potentially for the last time, or for finding maybe a better place to be. Because while there were safe areas in the warehouse was torn literally in half.
Yeah,
Like, if it had hit, if the tornado had went straight through the middle, I am pretty confident there would be more lives lost, even with that safe area.
yeah,
So
and
not
it was lucky that only one of the buildings was taken out.
yeah, so it really was, in my opinion, not the best decision to keep them there after the first siren. But the other thing that I think is even more insidious is the fact that they don't allow you to have cell phones while you're working. And that used to be a thing at the warehouse, but they had since gotten rid of the rule due to the COVID-19 pandemic. But now they're trying to reinstate the rule. And I think it's really disgusting given what has happened, considering if people don't have access to their phones, they don't know when a natural disaster will hit them.
And all of these issues that we're talking about all coincide with the major problem that Amazon is only concerned about reaching their quotas.
They really only care about productivity and profits, and they don't in any way actually care about their workers.
Because why would they get rid of their phones? Because they are under the perception that their phones only serve as a distraction, and even if that cuts into a minute of productivity, that is time that they're not willing to lose.
I am a bit more cynical, and I think the reason why they don't want their phones there is they don't want people to record atrocities that happen.
That is also a factor.
I mean, you do have to remember there was a time where a woman died on an Amazon warehouse floor, and management just said, step over her and continue working.
I mean, you've heard the rumors also that they don't keep air conditioning in there, and they would rather pay for ambulances to sit outside.
And they also are very strict on bathroom breaks. Like, some people hold their urge to use the bathroom for hours on end. They are very stressed about how many bathroom breaks they take.
I mean, we've heard the stories of people relieving themselves in water bottles.
Yeah.
Especially with Bessemer, Alabama, a unionization effort
Yeah.
earlier this year. And that only compounds on this because workers like this should be unionized.
Yeah, I feel that if these workers were unionized, they probably would not have been compelled to work in what it was clearly hazardous conditions.
I don't even think it's the problem that they're compelled to work, that they're not compelled, but forced to.
Yeah, well, that's what I mean. Like,
not compelled to work, but compelled to keep their employees working.
Yeah, if they had a union, then the workers would feel that I am safe to not show up to work.
Yeah.
But yeah, because of the storm. And it really is unfortunate. And I think the reason why this happened is because of the hyper capitalistic nature of Amazon and how, from top to bottom, from Jeff Bezos all the way down to the supervisors that are just completely grinding every single millisecond out of their workers, it leads to things like this. And it's unfortunate how Amazon really tries to like push these under the rug, because like Jeff Bezos came out and was like, "Oh, this was so terrible. Like I'm like we're so sorry about this." But one thing that's really bothering me is that I believe it's not this, it's the OSHA. OSHA is OSHA, right?
Yeah.
OSHA is only being given 6 months to investigate what happened here in Illinois, which I feel is a very arbitrary time limit, and I feel is definitely due to lobbying on the part of Amazon and other corporations to ensure that if the government has to be involved in looking into the operations, that they want to limit their involvement as much as they can to ensure that, one, they don't face any punishment, but two, and more importantly, the public doesn't know, so they can continue with their misinformation campaigns about the actual conditions of their warehouses.
And we all know that the main reason that the workers are suffering like this, well, not the main reason, but a huge factor is the fact that Bezos wants to have a measuring competition with Elon Musk. He needs to make sure that he is made as rich as possible, and the only way to do that is to exploit the workers down to the bone.
Exactly. Like he's literally nickel and diming them for as much as he can. And it's really sad. I mean, you probably saw earlier this year how Amazon was running those anti-union ads
Oh yeah,
and
yeah.
like forcing their employees to watch it to like effectively just like brainwash them into believing that unions would only cause them harm.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like I followed the Bessemer, Alabama unionization effort for Amazon
Yeah.
really closely, and they actually like adjusted the red lights to the point where like people advocating for unionization couldn't interact with people.
Really?
Yeah.
Like when you mean the red lights, you mean
Like the red lights, like the traffic lights in front of the entrance to Amazon.
they have control over that?
They apparently they do.
So they
They
made
are
it so that the cars just would never be able to turn. And
like never be able to stop long enough for people advocating for unionization to interact with workers coming in and out.
that's evil. That is evil.
Like they're willing to put money into that rather than giving workers AC.
I mean, it really just is terrible and it really upsets me because you've probably seen them recently, just all these Amazon ads everywhere on YouTube, on TikTok, on Twitter, on Facebook, on TV. Like Amazon has these ads where it makes it looks like their workers are larger than life,
And
like they're some type of like heroes that are like on the front lines of something amazing, when in the reality is that it's slavery with extra steps.
yeah,
Not to make light of it, it's literally what it is. It is slavery with extra steps. The way they treat these people is abhorrent. It is, in my opinion, completely inhumane. When you're getting to the point where you're policing natural bodily functions of your workers, it is, in my opinion, that you are not viewing them as people. You are viewing them as a commodity, and thus you are treating them like slaves.
yes,
I think that's that's just my firm opinion. Is this entire catastrophe could have been avoided if Amazon decided to just bite the bullet and either let their workers not show up to work that day and let them be in other areas, and maybe those 6 people would have survived, Maybe not, we do not know, but I definitely do not think the right decision was to make them come to work. Like, can you imagine working a job in a warehouse or factory or any type of manual labor job, and a natural disaster is headed your way, and your boss tells you, yes, we are in the path, you're still showing up to work. That right there tells me that the place that you work for does not actually care about who you are as a person or your general well-being. Because an actual good job in a good organization or a good corporation would ensure that their workers' safety is prioritized first.
Yeah.
But this is just not the case. I think that Amazon, and it's not just Amazon. I mean, we're seeing this with other jobs. I mean, Kellogg just fired over 1,000 workers that were striking. There's the Frito Lay company and how they spy on people
And
that
then
have that are trying to be compensated for injuries that they received on the job due to occupational hazards that were not properly checked in by management. They literally spy on people, try in any way, shape, or form to discredit people that have genuine injuries from being harmed at work. Like, it's all these corporations that do this. They truly do not view you as people. They don't view any of us as people. They view us as another way of obtaining capital. And I think it's disgusting. And I have to ask, just as a general question to everyone, how many people have to die before we do something, before we collectively understand that we, the people as a class, as the proletariat, as the ones that are not in charge of capital, the ones that do not have any say in where our labor goes. When do we say enough is enough? When do we really put the pressure on our lawmakers to make changes to the system? When do we really just have like massive strikes? I don't not and when I say massive strikes, I don't mean general strike, as that's usually way too disorganized. It doesn't really accomplish much. But I mean strategic planned strikes in different industries that are truly not caring for us. Amazon at this point, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, has been heavily relied on for people to obtain groceries, for people to obtain different forms of goods. They have just a whole host of things that they provide for people in this pandemic that many people just can't get anymore due to feeling unsafe or being infected and having to quarantine, so on and so forth. And so we should be treating the people that are getting these important jobs done for us in these trying times as people, first of all, just as people, but also just as people that are doing a difficult job.
And what's really depressing is that this is an upward battle. We are experiencing a lot of force. Like I said before, the fight for unionization in Alabama was pretty much a failure because Amazon worked so hard to uh, create propaganda for anti-unionization, and it worked.
Yeah.
It ended up not coming to fruition, and that just shows how. I mean, mind you, it's not going to be the last unionization effort we see. Hell, it's probably not going to be the last one we see in Alabama in that exact warehouse.
Yeah, they'll probably fight for it again.
Oh, without a doubt.
And the thing is about this is that the problem for this segment specifically, this is a problem that is universal. And when I say universal, I mean it is something that both parties in our duopoly of our political system are very much complacent in. Both Democrats and Republicans are in corporate pockets, and so it is never in their interest as lawmakers to ever pass legislation to help the worker because the I mean, the worker doesn't pay them thousands or millions of dollars, but corporations do. And that is due to a whole host of reasons, one of which being of course, the Citizens United case, which If it had gone another way, maybe we would be in a less shitty version of this.
I mean, Citizens United wasn't even the catalyst. The entire Reagan and Nixon administration were the biggest catalysts to the biggest signs of corruptions we see to this day.
Oh, it was, but Citizen United was the thing that allowed corporations to be viewed as people.
Yeah.
And because of the fact that they get to be viewed as people, it allowed them to be exempt to a whole host of laws when it came to lobbying, in terms of how much they could lobby different senators and congressmen and just other different policymakers. And I think that's what the real problem is that they should, like, a corporation should not be treated as a person because it is not. You, the person working at an Amazon warehouse, are not the same as the gigantic conglomeration known as Amazon. Amazon should not be allowed to be treated as a person when it is not.
Yeah.
You deserve to be treated as a person. You deserve to have your rights upheld. You deserve to be protected. Amazon does not. Amazon is not a person. Amazon is a corporation. It is a business. It is an organization made of multiple individuals. It should not in any way be considered a person. And that is why I firmly believe that Citizens United needs to be overturned. And we need to truly put pressure on lawmakers and policymakers and judges and just anyone in position of power that this is not acceptable. 6 people died in this tornado, but who knows what 2022 is going to bring us. We're still in COVID. We have a variant right now that is even more infectious than Delta in the form of Omicron.
And
who knows how badly it's going to spread. And you know damn well that Amazon is going to fight tooth and nail to keep you in that warehouse regardless of how sick you get.
And what's worse is we're not even going to fight against this variant. Society as a whole has pretty much returned to normal, and I see the fight for another lockdown being very hard if it's ever necessary.
I mean,
thankfully, more than half of the U.S. population is vaccinated.
Yeah, but, I mean, there's a whole host of reasons, logistically, as to why a lockdown would be difficult to implement, even if most people wanted it. But I see the point that you're making.
Yeah.
But,
all right. Well,
I think the way to end off this segment is to just say that fight for your rights. You have more rights than you are led to believe by these corporations. Read up and learn about them and fight for them. Because at the end of the day, this entire machine breaks apart if you're not there. And not just you, but if your neighbor isn't there, if your brother, your sister, your mom, your dad, your whatever, if they're not there, if none of you participate and you fight for your rights, they will be at your mercy. Because at the end of the day, if you don't work, they don't make money. And eventually, they'll feel the pain of not making money. But we gotta fight for it.
Right. Well, I think that wraps up everything we have to say about what happened in Illinois.
Yes.
So let's definitely start off our final segment with a bit more of a lighter tone here. Of course, it has to deal with January 6th, but I wouldn't mind giving another conservative another L.
Yes. Are we giving it to Mr. Mark Meadows?
I believe so.
Yes. So Mark Meadows, what was his position?
He was chief of staff.
Yeah, that's what I thought. He was the chief of staff within the Trump administration.
Yes.
And he was previously working with the January 6th Commission.
Yeah, he was providing documents and actually showing up in front of Congress. But now he's actually retracted that and is now refusing to show up. And now he's been charged with contempt of Congress. Like we said multiple episodes ago, Steve Bannon was charged with contempt of Congress, and looks like Mark Meadows is going to suffer the same fate.
Yeah, and I mean, contempt of Congress, it is a federal charge, but it's not this big thing. Like, the most that the most you can get, I believe, is what, a $10,000 fine in 2 years?
Yeah.
And so Mark Meadows, like Steve Bannon, in my opinion, when convicted, will probably only receive about, I would say, maybe about 9 months and about, I don't know, like, 5,000?
5,000, yeah.
9 months and 5,000 fine. But what matters about it is what this means for what this means in terms of the people that were in power during the January 6th. Because a lot of the rhetoric that conservatives and Republicans said was that they either said that it was Antifa, it was a false flag operation, or that the Patriots there, I say Patriots with quotation marks, but that the Patriots there were just fighting against an injustice. But more importantly, that the Trump administration was only involved insofar as they gave speeches.
I think
when this has really been proven to not be the case.
I think they've mostly dropped the Antifa talking point at this point.
Oh, yeah, they mostly dropped the Antifa talking point.
Because mostly...
But I'm saying back then.
Yeah, mostly they're saying, like, that was their first talking point, and now they've pretty much abandoned it. Now, pretty much what's going on is that they're just saying, like, oh, these were red-blooded Americans just being tourists in the area. Quite literally words from one of the senators defending the riots.
Senator, you said senator, not congresswoman. I thought you were talking about Lauren Boebert.
Oh, no, I don't think she was the one to say that.
Okay. I remember she said tourist.
No, she probably replicated that, but it was originally said by a senator.
Okay. Yeah. But obviously that's not the case. It was an insurrection, and it was caused by people who were spurned on by the Trump administration. And as we're learning through the January 6th Commission, there were many actors within the Trump administration that knew ahead of time that this was a likely situation, and they either did nothing or actively supported it happening. Or, when it came time to trying to get the president to call things off, did not do their jobs.
Yeah. And there are actually a lot of text logs. Most of the identities haven't been revealed.
Yeah.
About who they were between, but we're seeing a lot of evidence of a lot of different people involved.
Exactly. And a lot of the things that we're seeing specifically is that people were saying, oh my God, this is happening. Like, can you tell the president to stop? And the people saying, like, no, or just not responding.
Like, one of the biggest ones to come out recently was Donald Trump Jr.
Yeah, Donald Trump Jr., I believe, did text Mark Meadows specifically.
Yeah.
And said, call my father, please get him to stop this.
Which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's kind of funny, because I'm like, wait, it's your dad.
But at the same time,
I also
does he like his son?
Listen, he only has one true son, and that's Jared.
No, it's Ivanka.
No, Ivanka's not his son. Ivanka's his fifth wife.
That is better. That is a lot better, actually.
Jared is his son. Ivanka is his fourth or fifth wife.
It's his fifth. I say this because he's going to have a fourth wife, and it's not going to be Ivanka yet. Fair. All right. All the poking fun aside.
But yeah, it was. I feel that some people kind of have forgotten just how important what happened on January 6th was. For example, January 6th was the first time in American history that the Confederate flag was ever waved in the halls of our Capitol building. It took nearly 200 years for that to happen. Long since the Confederate States of America have been demolished and completely removed from any aspect of ever becoming a country.
Which just shows the complete and utter failure that was Reconstruction right after the Civil War.
In my opinion, Sherman should have continued the march, but that is neither here nor there. But the other problem with it is that it also shows that there are people in this country willing to commit acts of violence against elected officials en masse over a political result that they do not agree with, regardless of the facts of the situation. Like, say what you will about Joe Biden as a person, as a politician, whatever. But he legally won the right to be president. And the sign of a healthy and strong democracy is allowing transitions of power to happen to the people that genuinely won the election.
I mean, hell, Hillary Clinton resigned the night of the election.
Yeah. Yeah, some people say, but then everyone was complaining about Russia's election interference. Yeah, everyone complained about Russia's election interference, but no one said that Donald Trump was not the president.
And it was even revealed that most of that stuff was true, and people still say like it's a false flag.
Yeah, even when it was revealed there was election interference, no one said Donald Trump isn't the president. And they only said he has committed a crime, so he should be removed. But no one said he wasn't the president. Like, when he won, and ever since he won, no one said that he was not the president of the United States.
Which, of course, is still funny that Republicans say that Democrats will refuse to accept the victory when Trump still refuses to accept his victory in 2016.
Yeah, he considers the fact that his first term of presidency was tainted by all of the speculation and investigations involving his connections to Russia.
Not only that, he feels that the fact that he lost the popular vote is illegitimate.
Yeah.
He still complains about that.
I mean, because it shows that, at least for his ego, that, like, even though he won, he did win.
Yeah.
A lot of presidents win both popular and the electoral college. Only a handful have not. And Trump is one of that handful. I believe it's only been 5 instances in American history.
Which is just a further compoundation of the fact that we need to completely abolish the electoral college, or just completely push forward the interstate compact.
I much prefer getting rid of the electoral college system, as it's it was a remnant of the fear of the mob that our founding fathers had, which I think was completely, at the time, was somewhat founded, but if you wanted to ever establish a functioning democracy, you needed to understand that that is a risk you just have to take.
Yeah, but I'm just really happy to see that Mark Meadows thought he could get out of it, and he suffered an L because of it.
Yeah, he did, and it sucks because, honestly, of all the Republicans, I wasn't expecting him to get the contempt court when this thing started.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, he cooperated. Good for him, I guess. I mean, whatever. And then he stopped, and I was like, but why? Like, bro, you were fine. Maybe, I guess he was afraid that he would potentially implicate himself, but in my opinion, let's be honest here, the Biden Justice Department is not really looking into punishing people too severely for being involved with January 6th, so I feel like any fear that he had about being punished harshly is a bit unfounded. If anything, I feel like he would have gotten a deal with the Justice Department where if you testify, you get immunity.
Yeah.
Like this Justice Department, in terms of how it's been going about the investigation and subsequent punishment of people involved with January 6th, has been very lax. Yeah. For what is supposed to be considered a 9/11 style commission of investigation, this has been incredibly lax compared to the almost full decade of Islamophobia and racism and bigotry that befell the Muslim community and really just any brown person in America.
I mean, in all reality, the January 6th Commission is probably the only hope that Democrats have for winning the 2022.
I don't even think so, because who cares in the general public? Well, we care because we follow politics, but I ask you this. If you were a regular common variety Republican that likes Donald Trump and you believe in the things that he says, do you care that Mark Meadows stopped cooperating?
Well, I'm not saying Mark Meadows on his own. I'm saying, the whole investigation as a whole, if they find Trump to be guilty of inciting an insurrection and engaging in stochastic terrorism, that would probably have an impact in 2022.
But that's assuming they finish this investigation by midterms.
Yeah, that's also a big thing.
But if they're being stonewalled, I don't think it's going to happen. And the thing is that
Yeah, especially
The lead up to this investigation and the current investigation, is not been treated with much severity. Even when Steve Bannon, who is one of the highest level people and one of the people that actually has a lot of fans, got charged with criminal contempt, it was little more than a whimper in terms of wall to wall coverage. In my opinion, ever since
because
January 7th, this should have been given wall to wall media coverage 24 hours a day, like they did the War on Terror and how they fearmongered about the Middle East. They fearmongered the hell out of it. You saw wall to wall coverage every day.
and
We should have been giving this the same treatment because of the fact that it is just as severe.
and I do want to bring up that right now, Republicans' big talking point is that the only talking point Democrats have right now is just ranting continuously about January 6th. As if they're implying that why are Democrats freaking out about this? It happened, let it go. That's the implication that's going on right now. That is going to be a huge wall to climb over to fight that kind of propaganda.
Yeah, I mean, and the worst part is because the Democrats have been so slow to the draw on this, it's kind of working because the Republicans don't have any policy prescriptions that they actually want to pass.
I mean,
you saw their platform for the 2020 election, it's a copy and paste of the 2016 one.
I mean, they literally still don't advocate for gay rights.
Yeah.
No, they're anti-gay.
Yeah, but what I mean is that they don't advocate for policies they want to pass.
Because
they mainly just feel the main thing that they are working with is just obstruction and just whatever the Democrats say be contrary to it.
Because what were Trump's main accomplishments in the negative sense? I'm not saying these are good, but what has Trump accomplished in his term as presidency? Cutting taxes for the rich, banning Muslims from entering the United States, building the wall in a completely half-assed manner.
And completely stacking the courts with Republicans from all levels.
Yeah.
And I think that has been his most significant contribution. Whatever policy and executive order that man passed pales in comparison to the several lifetime worths of judges he has put into power that will not leave power unless they resign, are arrested, or die.
Yeah. Yeah. And not only that, they were completely hypocritical in assigning the third justice, which
they were completely hypocritical in assigning all the justices, considering what they did to Obama with Merrick Garland back in 2016.
Yeah, the fact that they completely overlooked the McConnell rule in appointing Amy Coney Barrett.
Yeah, which I mean, we all saw coming.
We all saw it coming.
Back in 2016, we knew that if McConnell gets his way and doesn't let Merrick Garland onto the Supreme Court, that there will be more Republicans on this bench.
Yeah,
and lo and behold,
the only good thing to come from that was Lindsey Graham looking like a buffoon.
But Lindsey Graham doesn't need that to look like a buffoon. He lives his everyday life.
Yeah, I mean, there were literally books that he is literally just completely engorges himself in food whenever he goes to visit Trump.
I mean, is that really so bad though? I mean, that's probably some of the best food you're gonna
he's maybe I'm just wording that wrong. He's not a bootlicker. He
is a bootlicker.
He is one, but that's not the term I'm thinking of.
He's a hog.
Maybe that's a little more accurate.
He's a hog.
Not in the term that we mean, he's just... I can't...
He's overindulgent, is what you're trying to say.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah,
yes.
He overindulges himself.
Yeah.
In terms of all the types of benefits he gets for his sycophantry.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's why we're a dual show here.
Yep. But, anything else you want to bring up?
Mark Meadows take this L.
Yeah, pretty much hold the L, man. I mean, I think he's pretty content with holding that L. I do not understand why. I honestly feel like if he had just continued cooperating, he would have gotten off with immunity or a light fine. So I'm honestly just perplexed at why he's doing what he's doing.
Yeah.
I mean, we joke about how the Republicans do things that just don't make any ounce of sense, but this one truly did not make much sense to me.
Yeah.
Like, I can understand from someone like Steve Bannon's perspective where he never started, but with Mark Meadows is that he started by cooperating and by the end he's not, and I'm just like, what the hell are you doing, man?
Yeah.
Anyways.
Overall, this is I really hope that we learn a lot more from this commission, but I'm very doubtful that it'll have much impact, but we can only hope.
Yeah.
So I do want to, before we end the podcast, I do want to commemorate a momentous occasion.
Yes.
We have our first chatter.
Oh, what?
Yeah, we have our first chatter on YouTube chat.
Oh, well, it sucks because on OBS we haven't been able to see chat. So
well, I'm looking at it right here. I do want to touch two of the things that was spoken. Do I want to say it by name because I believe I know who this is?
Anonymity is probably for the best.
Right. So I do want to touch on a few things said here. So one of the things was during our No Way Home segment was it's not Pepper's dream house without Tony, which
that is very true.
That is very true. I wish I saw that when it was spoken because
that's actually a pretty true statement.
That is pretty true because of course she's not living the best life with Tony gone.
Yeah, it's only half of the best life.
Yeah, and then I do want to touch on the last comment written, which was, "I vote for getting rid of the electoral college system. It has no place in our current population, and from the more modern necessities of this country." I completely agree.
Yeah, we wholeheartedly agree with that sentiment.
Yes, because let's just face the fact that the electoral college does nothing but to give an unfair advantage to Republican states.
Yeah. I mean, even if we took away the partisanship of whether it's Democrat or Republicans, the true thing is that it's subverting democracy. Because it's subverting the popular will. Anyone. It could be the reverse. Say Republicans were in the majority in terms of population and in terms of popular vote, but a Democrat won via the Electoral College. That is still subverting the popular vote. That's subverting the will of the populace. And that's the true reason why we need to get rid of the Electoral College.
Yes. And just the fact that it's still a thing is completely archaic. I hope the interstate compound works because, for those who don't know, states have been aligning with what is known as the Interstate Compact, which will completely negate the what's it called? I forget the details of it, but it gets rid of the
electors.
The electors to an extent to where it's not the majority in each state that gets the electors. It's the majority who wins in the country that gets those electors.
That'd be actually really good.
Yeah, so it's still using the antiquated system of the Electoral College, but it still gives the majority in the country, not each state, the power through those electors.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a liberal solution to fixing the Electoral College, not a complete fix, but it is something, and we have a lot of states already signed on to it.
Yeah. I will remain neutral on that because I would prefer to see what this will look like in action before I fully say, oh yeah, this is a great thing.
Because it can't be enacted right now because not enough state electors are involved in it.
Yeah.
Because each state has to sign on to it, and then once there are enough states signed onto it to reach a certain threshold of electors, then it becomes active in those states.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Republican states are not going to sign on to it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways,
but
I think that's all.
Yeah, I would like to say just thank you so much for engaging with us. We've been trying really hard to make this a, like something we've been putting a lot of effort into, and we just want to say thank you for the engagement.
Yes. If you're listening to this and if you're listening to this and you're watching live, feel free to comment. We will respond to you as we see them. And if you're listening to this after the fact, whether on Spotify or on Twitch or on YouTube or Facebook or wherever, feel free to leave comments under like the actual like post or in the individual sections that got posted to YouTube, or just post it somewhere else, post it to Reddit, like share it anywhere and start a discussion about it.
Yeah. And of course, we'll keep uploading videos regularly. I know we had to take a bit of a break because Shiny fell sick last week, but
Yeah.
we're already up to episode 11, so let's keep this going and let's make it a thing. Of course, you can catch us every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Pacific. I'm your co-host, Sovereign.
And I'm Shiny.
And we are signing off for the night.